Charges against Daryl Brooks, who plowed his SUV into the Waukesha Christmas parade last year, hitting 68 men, women, and children, killing 6. The verdicts serving justice to victims and their families. Daryl Brooks now facing multiple life terms when he's later sent.
10 seconds of the show. If you missed the first 10 seconds of the show, you're just tuning in. Now you can rewind and hear what we opened with 15 seconds ago.
It's not even mathematically possible.
Also, on the Odyssey app, you can rewind when we go live. I just want to remind people of the Odyssey app. Love the Odyssey app.
All right, enough of that.
Did you have a bad meeting with Steve?
Odyssey app is great. We all love it.
We love it a lot, like so much. It's one of our favorite things in the world. The Odyssey app.
Just type in the Annie Frey Show, and you'll find it on the Odyssey app and probably many, many other locations that we don't know about.
Did you have a bad conversation with Annie?
No.
No.
Not today.
Not yet. That's practice, so. Okay, right out the gate, we're going to have Eric Schmitt on. Yay.
Anna's stoked.
I am excited. I'm very, very excited. I always love to hear what he has to say. Then Mike Bost will be on at 12:25.
I want to brag about him.
What?
I want to brag about Mike Bost. I got
Congressional bagels.
Congressional bagels.
You got bagel boss.
And this is from a guy who is a donut guy. And
Did he weigh in on that?
yeah.
He did
Yeah.
weigh on.
And there's a whole story on it. I'm sure we'll talk about it once the show starts.
okay.
And we'll be
We
on
weighed
there.
in on it at a Reagan Day dinner that I was hosting.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
He wrote,
Congressional donuts.
he, along with the bagels, he gave Brad a little card, and we'll post that on our Annie Frey Show Instagram and show what he has to say. He's pretty punny.
Yeah.
He's pretty punny.
There was
He's a good
puns
guy.
in the card.
Oh, the whole card is a pun.
Did he write it?
I'm
Or
assuming
was
so.
the card?
It had to be because, like,
No,
I saw
it wasn't pre-written. It was like a Mike Bost card. I took
Really?
a picture of it, and I'll post it on our Annie Frey Show Instagram at Annie Frey Show. If you want
that's like
to
an
see
official
it.
Mike Bost card with his signature and everything.
Is it a bunch of puns that he gives? Like it's the same card that he gives to everybody?
I don't know how this is
No,
pretty
this is-
specific.
It was
I mean,
okay.
unless he does this all the time.
About that, but it's-
Yeah.
So after Mike Bost, we'll have him go
This guy.
at 12:45. Then about 7, it's Wednesday, so it's Deroy Murdock. I can't believe it's Wednesday already.
I'm going to be talking about a bunch of races that people aren't talking about, which I love doing because here's the thing: in 2021, Trafalgar had the Virginia governorship going to Youngkin, which happened, and the New Jersey governorship very close, which didn't happen, but they were right on with both of them. And looking at not just Trafalgar's, but overall polling, there are a lot of races that won't be getting all the headlines because we're going to be talking about the Senate races in Pennsylvania and Georgia and
Which goes along with our YouTube poll.
yeah. Which ones are you anticipating the most? Those are the ones that everybody's focused on in the debate last night. You watching the debate last night?
I watched parts of it, but I was playing video
Oh,
games.
that's right. You saw some.
Video games two nights in a row?
Yes.
But depending on how those races go will matter a lot. But if they go the way that we're expecting, which is that you are seeing a very much a red wave, even if maybe one or two of those don't go the way you expect, you could see governorships throughout the country that we don't talk about almost at all pick it off. And if all those Senate races do go the way they're hoping, we're going to talk about a couple of Senate races in Wiggins America that we aren't really talking about that could be shockers. So,
Whoa.
yeah, I'm looking forward to
That's appointment listening right there.
that. Thank you.
All right. So the YouTube poll for today is which non-local state elections, this goes along with Wiggins America, which non-local states election results are you anticipating the most? We've got 3 options for you. The first option is Georgia. The second option is Arizona. The third option is Pennsylvania. And then we have an option for others. So if you're not watching any of those, because if you're like me, those will share. You can leave a comment in the chat. I'm shifty.
Shifty.
Better than being,
Shippy. That's shippy.
Yep,
That's what you're meaning.
kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So leave a comment if you aren't voting for one of those, or if you vote for one of those, leave a comment in the chat and tell us
I
why you
will
voted.
star them.
I've been starting them already.
Oh, you guys, lipstick. Where are you at?
Ooh,
Staff?
Poppy.
I would use Poppy today.
Yeah.
I pick my lipstick in the morning sometimes.
And it says Poppy's going on.
It's in our
Or
contract.
there was another one called like blissful.
Bashful.
Bashful.
Ooh.
That's the nude-ish color.
You should just.
Would you like me to be poppy or nude? Poppy!
Poppy.
That's such an uncomfortable question. Which would you rather?
Bashful. Poppy.
Okay, bashful.
Poppies. Is it time for the show? No. You guys,
Yeah.
you guys have
We're just
another.
Poppy because
That's a shit.
that's a shade name, but there's a YouTube star that was Poppy.
I was saying it because of the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Poppy's also the name of one of the trolls.
It is.
No,
I hate that
about
movie.
the trolls.
No. What's the first thing I ever said about trolls?
We did.
Right
No,
now.
we were saying about
Yeah, that's great.
Nilbog or whatever.
Oh,
That's a movie called Troll 2. That's not the movie
and that's
Troll.
a great callback, Anna.
No kidding.
Anna
Yeah,
Hannah.
that movie is one of the worst movies ever made in 1992. And it's called Troll 2, even though there is
There's
no
a
Troll 1.
Facebook short or a YouTube short about Nilbog.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you remember it? Yeah, that's
Schmidt's
spelled
cool.
backwards.
Oh,
Hey, guess what? The show is going to happen now.
Show!
Showtime!
Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Tashara Jones and her radical team want to defund our police.
Defunding the police has to happen.
Trudy Bush Valentine supports their anti-cop agenda.
I would love to be able to work with Mary Jones on any of the things that she wants to work on.
Trudy Bush Valentine, liberal on crime. Eric Schmitt launched the Safer Streets Initiative and locked up criminals. Endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police, Eric Schmitt is tough on crime.
I'm Eric Schmitt, and I approve this message.
So there you have it, the latest campaign ad from the Schmitt campaign, and we are very excited to get straight to our first guest here today on a Wednesday on the Annie Frey Show, the candidate himself, Eric Schmitt, the Attorney General of the state of Missouri. Welcome back to the show, Attorney General. We're so glad that you are here, and the latest ad focusing exactly where this country needs to be focused on law and order. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be with you, Annie.
Thank you. You know, I'm watching the nation react to where the politicos and the pundits are trying to push people's attention to control the narrative and massage it. But this election is about two basic things: inflation and crime. And you have, as the Attorney General of the state of Missouri, really fought back for the people of Missouri when it comes to upholding law and order. How do you see this election here shaping up coming into November?
No, I think that's right. I think, where the voters are at is you get around the state. Missouri's a great state, and it's culturally diverse, and the Boot Heel is different than Southwest Missouri, is different than St. Louis. And you get around, and if you listen to people, what they will tell you is that the things that they care about that's on their mind are these pocketbook issues and safety. And, when you see under Joe Biden, inflation go up over 13% in 2 years, it's amazing how far how much things have changed since when President Trump was in office, and now we've got 2 years of this. And inflation isn't like an act of God or a hurricane. You know, there's a formula for it. Turns out if you spend trillions of dollars and declare war on American energy, the prices on everything go up. And that's what we've seen. And so that sticker shock that families, I know I feel, I've got young kids, that every time you go to the grocery store, every time you fill up the gas tank, people's rent is going up, and winter is coming. As those utility bills start to come, people turn that furnace on, they're going to be shocked because, you know, natural gas rates are up 33%. You've got, you know, fuel oil costs rising, gas. I mean, it's everywhere. It's inescapable, and it's a direct result of these radical policies. And my opponent, the heiress, who's, you know, completely immune from this stuff, she's a limousine liberal that's out of touch. She doesn't feel the impact of inflation. She just doesn't, and she supports policies that'll make it worse. So you got that, and then you've got crime. You look around the country, see what's happening, you know, in our cities. It's been a disaster because the Democrats have embraced this defund the police movement. We've got it right here in the St. Louis region with Mayor Tashara Jones, who has sought to defund the police up to $4 million to take money away from their budgets. We actually offered them to St. Louis City. They had $5 million the city owned the state of Missouri. We said, keep it for law enforcement. She said, no, thank you. Give us that for, you know, vaccine incentives or something ridiculous. So, I mean, completely out of touch. And my opponent, you know, Trudy Bush Valentine, has aligned herself with Mayor Jones, including the defund the police movement. And that ad just spells it out. You know, the mainstream media, Annie, has covered for her. She's the least vetted United States Senate candidate in Missouri history. And they're perfectly happy with that because they want her to be able to buy this Senate seat. But I think we, the people, have other thoughts on it. Yeah,
you have a lot of support behind you. Speaking with Eric Schmitt, he's the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, the Republican candidate for the United States Senate for the state of Missouri as well. You can go to schmittforsenate.com to learn more about his candidacy. I watched the President of the United States comment on what he believes to be the concerns or what, when he's asked a question about inflation, he deflects. He makes it sound like other people have worse problems than we do, and the direction we're headed in this country is a part of a transition to a greater goal. I feel as though the people who are in charge right now in every branch of the federal government are incredibly out of touch with the American voter.
Absolutely, and this stuff is on purpose, Annie. I mean, these are their policy objectives, right? You've heard them say the quiet part out loud when they want people to feel the pain at the gas pump so they transition to something else. And my view is all the above, right? Like we have all, you know, countries have gone to war since the beginning of time for natural resources, right? Here in the United States, we have all the energy we'll ever need under our feet. We just do. It's a great blessing. And, you know, we ought to open up energy exploration, open up energy production, you know, have offshore drilling, have fracking. I mean, you know, we ought to be not only self-sufficient and not have to go to Saudi Arabia and beg for oil or go to Venezuela and beg for oil, or what you see now, the President of the United States draining our strategic petroleum reserves and shipping them to China. That's what's happening right now. We don't need to do any of that. Mm-hmm. We can have all the energy we'll ever need here and be a net exporter of energy to our friends and allies around the world. We just got to go do it. We had it under President Trump. The Biden administration and the radical left has decided that's not what their vision of the world, and that's why this election is so important.
I want to read to you, Eric Schmitt, a comment from Mike on our YouTube. He says, Annie, please thank him for his work against the school districts when they tried to keep masks on our kids, even when they knew it wasn't going to protect them. What do you intend to do as the Attorney General right now of the state of Missouri, as somebody who understands the law? How do you take what you have done to fight for Missourians to the United States Senate, where you are one of 100 votes and it will affect the entire country?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't tell you, Annie, the amount of volunteers. We had the core of our volunteer corps is our parents and a lot of moms, mostly moms actually, who really appreciated that there was somebody who stood up and fought for them and their kids, because that was at a time, if you remember, the media was very hostile. There was a lot of trying to cancel people for raising legitimate issues. And we sued 47 school districts for forced masking. And we took on school districts that were engaged in things like the privilege walk or the gender unicorn or the oppression matrix. We were exposing this and fighting back, and parents appreciated that somebody would go do that. That's going to be my I'm going to take that same fighting spirit to the United States Senate. The oversight role in the next 2 years, assuming we take the House and the Senate, is going to be critical, meaning we need people who can ask tough questions, get to the bottom of issues. Tell Anthony Fauci, clear your calendar for 2023 because we got a lot of things we need to understand. And by the way, I'm the guy that's got the lawsuit with big government coordinating with big tech to silence voters. We had an order come down Friday. We actually get to take the deposition of Jen Psaki and Anthony Fauci. So there's a lot of things that we're moving on in the AG's office. I'm going to take that same attitude to the Senate because we need people, reinforcements, who are going to stick up for the rule of law. They're going to fight for this country. And they're going to be tenacious, and that's who I am.
You know, one of the things that I've been following closely is this lawsuit where you're going to be able to depose these very high-level officials. We've talked on this show a lot about how the media, they don't call a fair fight, and that is a huge problem. But you compound that with social media and what we've seen social media be able to do to keep certain viewpoints out of the discussion. Tell me in your own words, briefly, what is it that you're pursuing here? Those depositions, what do you hope to investigate and expose through this process?
Well, the First Amendment is the beating heart of the Constitution. We're born with the right from God to speak our minds. And government's job is to protect that right, not to infringe upon that right. And what we've discovered now through documents in this lawsuit is that the government, the federal government, is colluding and coordinating with big tech to silence people. That's illegal. You don't get to do that. And so we've exposed it. We're going to keep fighting back. We're going to get more information. We're going to continue to, whether it's the Hunter Biden laptop or particularly during COVID. Look, what we found in these documents is that the high-level Facebook officials were texting the Surgeon General of the United States saying, hey, we checked that one off the list. What else can we do for you, Mr. Surgeon General? And Anthony Fauci is part of this. Jen Psaki was bragging that they're flagging stuff for Facebook. This can't go on in the United States of America. It just can't. And that's why this lawsuit's so important.
So before we have to let you go, Eric Schmitt joining us right now. He's the United States candidate to replace the retiring Roy Blunt here in the state of Missouri, the current Missouri Attorney General. It's going to be a very contentious 2 years if the Republicans take the House of Representatives the way they anticipate that they will. And some people are saying maybe the Republicans could get as many as 5 plus 5 seats in the Senate. It might be a razor-thin majority. It might still be a split tie, and I guess the possibility exists that the Democrats could come out on top. If the Republicans are able to take a 1 seat or more majority, how do Republicans show their ability to be effective in the Senate to push on towards 2024? Because, of course, your seat, should you win it, would be the seat for 2 years of Biden and then the next president for 4 years.
Right. And so I think that's a really important question, Annie, because it's not just enough to win the majority. We got to do something with it, right? We got to make sure that these 87,000 IRS agents are never funded. We got to make sure that we're holding, the Department of Justice, high-ranking officials accountable for targeting parents who show up to school board meetings. We got to hold Anthony Fauci accountable. We got to understand the Wuhan lab and the gain-of-function research, and then coordinating with the teachers' unions to shut down schools and force masking. Those are a lot of things we need to do. We need to control spending. We need to open up energy production. We need to hold this administration account. We need to make sure he's not getting liberal judges on the bench who don't want to abide by the rule of law, but rather what they want the law to be. There's a lot of important work to do, but I think it's critical for us to deliver on behalf of the people who sent us there. I'm not interested in being the cocktail party guy. I'm not interested in being the most popular guy. I want to go there and fight on behalf of the people of this state. The working men and women who made this country great. I want to be their senator, and that's what I intend to do.
I think you would do a fantastic job of that, and we certainly have had many discussions even before you declared your race for the United States Senate. The only questions that I'm getting a lot of feedback here on our live chat as we're having this discussion, and there are several questions coming in about the attack ads people are seeing about you in relation to the purchases of land in Missouri from China. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity in your own words words directly to these people who, I have one here that says, Annie, ask Eric about the ads regarding him selling Missouri land to China. Is that legit? I am an Eric Schmitt supporter. Just want to know if this happened.
It's a total joke. It's a lie. It's a lie. And the reason why they're lying about it, Annie, is for two reasons. One is they know that there's nobody that's going to be tougher on China. I was the guy that filed the lawsuit against communist China for unleashing the coronavirus on the world. That's number one. Number two, the heiress is also very aware that she signed on to the Green New Deal, which not only is a declaration of war against energy production in this country, it ships those jobs to China. So she's seeking to turn a vulnerability on her part, make up this issue about this farmland thing, which is not based in anything that ever actually happened. But anyway, it's I guess part and parcel of where we're at right now. But she can't hide from her own record. I mean, that ad that we're running right now and defund the police, that's in one of the few interviews that she gave, right? Because she's, you can make your own judgment about how articulate she is. But in that interview that she gave, she signed on to Tashara Jones. Now, they want to run away from it, but she can't because she is a tax and spend, down the line liberal Democrat. And I just don't think that's what Missourians want right now.
No, they're worried about their pocketbooks. They're worried about feeling safe, and they need people who are going to represent accordingly in the United States Senate. Eric Schmitt, we appreciate your time, and we appreciate being able to follow you through this entire campaign. And we're looking forward to see what happens here in less than a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Andy. We got a country to save. And anybody wants to learn more or get involved, they can just text Schmitt, SCHMITT, to 30409, and we'd love to get them plugged in as we head down the final stretch here.
Awesome.
Thanks again, Andy.
Yep, we'll talk to you soon. Eric Schmitt, candidate for United States Senate there, wanted to get that question in by multiple people in our live chat who are curious about the China connection. There are Eric Schmitt's words directly to you regarding that campaign ad. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Congressman Mike Bost joins the show, and he sent some treats in for Brad. We had the whole bagel donut debate that night, the day we had the bagel donut debate on the show. Obviously, donuts are better than bagels, but Brad says no, bagels all the way. I emceed the St. Clair County Reagan Day dinner that night. Mike Bost was there, and he said, donuts, obviously. And then he leaned over to me and goes, people like bagels are liberals. Jokingly, of course. So I kind of needled Brad about that. And of course, what does Congressman Bost do? He drops off bagels and a congressional note to Brad that says, do not worry. Even though you prefer bagels, I know you aren't a liberal. Thanks for all that you do for the conservative cause. Let's talk to Congressman Bost when we come back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show. 97.1 has you covered on election night. Hosted by Mark Reardon, plus expert takes from 97.1 political insiders throughout the evening. Your home for conservative talk. Decision 2022. Sponsored by Air Comfort Service and TR Hughes Homes.
So when you were working on your plans for the weekend, it's Wednesday, maybe you're getting close to that. I want you to make sure that if you need a haircut, that you factor Hair Saloon into your weekend. Hairsaloon.com is the website. You can go visit there and learn all about who they are, what services they provide, where their locations are. They have 16 across both Missouri and Illinois. So wherever you were looking to get your haircut, whatever area you're in, there's a hair saloon right around the corner. Go to hairsaloon.com to make your appointment. You can also do walk-ins to a location near you, but making an appointment is always better because you know when you're going to be there, and you can kind of factor it into your calendar. Enjoy a complimentary beverage, a perfect haircut, relaxing shampoo, a hot towel and mint, and, of course, the complimentary shoe shine. At Hair Saloon, they believe that men deserve better, and they provide that with every haircut that they get to enjoy with you. Reach out to them and schedule your appointment today. They have a whole bunch of different services that they can provide you with, and you will be able to kick back, relax, and walk out looking fantastic. Hairsaloon.com.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Maybe even one in Susie's room, too. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hello, my name is Chad with ClaimingGroup.com. I have another happy client of ours that just sold their house as is.
Hi, I'm Chris. I called the real estate agent, and they gave me a list of 75 things to prepare my house for sale. I called the Claimant Group and spoke to Chad and his team, and they bought my house as is. I didn't have to do anything at all.
If you want a simple solution to your real estate needs as well, reach out today. 314-946-9999. 946-9999. ClaimingGroup.com.
Paid for by Blaine for Congress.
I'm Blaine Lutkemeyer, and I approve this message.
We've seen some price increases. Some folks have raised worries that this could be a sign of persistent inflation. But that's not our view.
Reality is, inflation is now at a 40-year high, costing the typical family over $700 more every month just to stay even. That's the Biden extremist tax you pay every day. You pay it at the gas pump because of the extremist war against American energy, shutting down pipelines and using red tape to stop new development. You pay it in the devastation in your retirement account. You pay it in the border crisis and out-of-control crime wave. And now, they've driven America into a recession. Our most powerful weapon to stop them is our vote. It's in our hands to stop the damage they're doing to our families and America. November 8th, vote.
Used to keep it cool, used to be a fool, all about the bounce in my step. Watch it on the news, what you gonna do? I could hit refresh and forget. Used to keep it cool. Should I keep it light, stay out of the fight? No one's
The
gonna
Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
let me sing on TV. Should I keep it light?
My opponent just said she will not mandate COVID vaccines at this time. Let me be clear to all of the parents who are out there. I will not mandate COVID vaccines for your kids ever. I don't believe that there should be COVID vaccine mandates right now for our kids at SUNY and CUNY and community colleges and elsewhere.
So there you have Lee Zeldin. He's currently a congressman, and he is running for governor in New York. He's a Republican challenging Kathy Hochul, who took over after Cuomo was given the boot. And this is a main topic. This is a big deal for people who are running for offices right now that have the authority to make these kinds of mandates. Certainly in the state of Illinois, we have been subjected to an inordinate amount of mandates. Congressman Lee Zeldin said should he be given the honor to represent the people of New York as their governor, he will never make those mandates. You got to ask yourself, as a resident of a blue state like New York, if you're in Illinois, what is coming down the pike if we have a reelection of J.B. Pritzker or the supermajority of Democrats still exist? And what happens on a national federal level should the Republicans take the majority in the House and have a little more authority, a lot more authority in some cases, than they have so far in Biden's first 2 years? Let's ask a congressman that. Congressman Mike Bost joins us now. He is the representative for the 12th District in Illinois. Congressman, first of all, Brad thanks you for the bagels. And secondly, we welcome you onto the show. That was a really funny note you left for him.
And Annie, thank you. I didn't want to offend him when we were together last, and even
He's
though
not
I'm a
easily
donut
offended.
guy,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but it got him bagels.
Yeah. Is a win. I want you to compare your responsibility representing your constituents in the 12th District of Illinois. So you are in Washington, D.C. on behalf of Illinoisans. Compare what goes on the federal level to what you've experienced as a voter and a taxpayer living in the state of Illinois under this massive Democratic control for these last 4 years.
Well, Well, let me say that, remember, it's massive Democrat control for a lot more than 4 years. That's why we had the deficit. And when they claim they have a balanced budget in the state of Illinois, they only got a balanced budget because of the COVID money that was sent.
Yeah.
But they didn't reduce their spending. They just kept spending and didn't pay off a lot of debt. They just basically said they balanced their budget, but they expanded their spending. That's pretty common with what happens with most of our liberal legislators out of Chicago. It's the same thing we deal with crime that all the major cities are dealing with. For instance, the Not Safe Act that they passed this last year. I have a son who's a sitting judge, and I have a son-in-law who's a police officer, in a county police officer, and both of them just see the problems that are coming down the pike with the Safe Act. So you do that and tie it with what you were talking about earlier about the mandates that have been put on from J.B. Pritzker. If you remember how this looked 2 years ago, while he's telling everybody else to stay at home, they're off on their vacation home because they don't live in the real world of where you had to try to make ends meet and have things mandated, whether it's keeping kids out of school or whether it was keeping businesses shut down. Remember, my wife and I own a cosmetology business. We were 9.5 weeks from the time the last customer was kept out of our shop until the time that our first customer came back in. And I just want to let you know, we didn't sneak any elected officials in the door, be it Nancy Pelosi or anybody else. So we had to actually follow the rules.
Yeah.
And this is the type thing that happens when you have an over burdensome government that is just more about government having control, and two, about not paying attention to that where they take their oath to the Constitution of the United States and or the Constitution of the state of Illinois.
We're speaking with Congressman.
So, it's just great.
Yeah, Congressman Mike Bost with us right now. I mean, your district is right up against Missouri, and I think it's such an interesting political science study right here where I sit in St. Louis. I commute from Illinois every day, but when you are sitting in Congress with people from all 50 states, we have such an awesome test kitchen when it comes to a democratic republic with all of these different states representing their constituents based on the people they elect to work in their state governments and in their statewide offices. My phrase this election season is, for Illinois folks, it doesn't have to be this way. Just look at Missouri. Compare to me the freedoms that you might enjoy in Missouri or another red state that Illinois has previously voted against when they've sent these Democrats into office.
Well, look at what it is. If you take, I'll give you an example of taxation alone, all right? Do you remember that in 1993, the flood, whenever the wash away of the places in McBride, you actually could see that back when the levee broke over across from Chester. Well, you would think that there would be no reason to put anything back over there. However, what you do find out is what do they put? They put convenience stores and gas stations there. Why? Because the gas is cheaper. Because of taxation, the alcohol is cheaper because of taxation. Cigarettes are cheaper because of taxation. Every other product is cheaper, and they could afford to build back in a floodplain to justify what? Quite often the state employees that work at Menard Prison going over and making those purchases. Mm-hmm. So this is the type thing that you see when you have a state that is right in the middle of other states that understand, whether it's Indiana, whether it's Missouri, Kentucky. Remember, the governor of Indiana put up a big poster sign right up over in the Gary area. Thank you, Illinois, for sending us your business.
Yeah.
This is the type thing that you do when you elect. And Annie, it doesn't have to be that way. Remember, this is what people don't realize. Up until 1995, in 1995 and 96, Republicans had total control of the House, total control of the Senate, and every statewide office holder. And you know what we ended up doing during that time?
What's that?
We reduced our tax burden. We brought business growth all over the state of Illinois, not just in the Chicago area, business growth all over the state of Illinois. We paid our bills on a 27-day pay cycle. 27-day pay cycle, and our long-term indebtedness was about $25 billion, which was sensible for bonding for roads and stuff like that. Now 136 or 138 billion bonded indebtedness against the pension systems, and because of Rod Blagojevich borrowed against the pension system, highest tax rate in any state around, continuing to head down the path where we're chasing business from the state. Remember this, Illinois, this last remap, lost a member of Congress. Why did that happen? That happened because Illinois experienced a negative growth rate. So there were, when the counting of the census occurred, Illinois had to lose once again a member of Congress. Therefore, that's less power for Illinois in Congress because our population has moved to other states. And where do they move? They move to Texas. They move to Florida. They move to those places where they are red states, where taxation is less, where they can operate freely, where they don't have burdensome overreach by their government. And you know, this is, and for somebody to argue, oh, that doesn't happen, you can see it.
Sure.
And that's why it is the Illinois voters need to wake up. And Annie, I think that my district, you know, you got to realize my district is very, my new district as well as my old district, very Republican. There's certain areas that weren't in the old district, and there's a very small area that isn't in the new district. But I think the voters have woke up. But what they need to do is come out so strong in the South to change that governor's race. You know, we've got to make sure. You know, it's tough for Darren, for Senator Bailey to run in the Chicago area because it is what it is, and they are a blue area. That being said, he's got to get 17 to 22% out of there. But he can the more we get in the South of coming out with a huge, solid vote, is less he has to get up there. But he's working it hard. We're supporting him, and we're going to keep doing that.
Congressman Bost with us, Illinois' 12th district, United States congressional representative. I want to ask you, as somebody who, how long have you been in politics? You've been in politics for a while.
A long time. Yeah, I actually got involved at a local level when I was only 23 years old.
So you know the ropes.
Right after coming.
You know what it takes to get elected. I'm sure that you've seen people who've laid it all out on the line and not won, and you've seen people who haven't done much and maybe snuck in a victory. But in your time observing Darren Bailey, from however long you've known him to where he is right now, what he has done in this campaign to try to win the governor's office in the state of Illinois. Will you just tell me, like, as a man observing another man doing this thing in politics, what have you seen?
Well, he's on the right side of the issues, first off. He wants to bring government back to the people, which is vitally important. He is not a case like our sitting governor that, you know, he actually earned his money. He didn't get it the old-fashioned way. He didn't inherit it. He understands that whatever laws you pass in the state of Illinois, they affect the average working Joe on the street. It isn't something that he can just walk away from because he's not in that situation. He comes from a background of farming and understands that because agriculture is so important to the state of Illinois. But I think he also has been able to work with people across the aisle. Now, they might not agree with him in all things, but you've got to realize that right now we need a governor that can truly lead and unite. And what we don't have right now is we've got a governor that focuses on Chicago. Matter of fact, I can tell you that right after this governor was elected, we were all invited. He came out to D.C. about 3 or 4 months after being elected. And we as members of Congress went over to Dick Durbin's office, and we're supposed to walk in and say hello to the governor, new governor. And so in front of me was Congressman Snyder from Chicago. And he was saying, hey, how am I doing in your district? And Congressman Snyder was going, oh, you're doing pretty well, you know, this, that, and the other. And I was next in line, looked at me, and he goes, yeah, I'm not even going to ask you.
He's not concerned.
Because
that's unbelievable.
He's not concerned.
Nor does he need it.
No, that's just it. And that's why it is so important for your listeners in Illinois to come out. And I don't care if you are a Democrat in Illinois, wake up. They don't care about you this far south. So please, 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 Darren Bailey is your vote, and make that vote.
Congressman Bost, you've represented a blue-collar district. You've had a lot of people who might have found themselves in a position where maybe their union is giving them the list of people who you're vote for. But I hear from so many union laborers who are like, I am not nearly as dumb as they think I am, and I'm never voting for another Democrat again. The push on. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and one thing we've seen in Washington, and I've worked to do this, is that a lot of our trade unions, a tremendous amount of our trade unions, come over and endorse and support Republicans because they've come to realize that the Democrats, they won't. It's no fun to be in a union if you don't have a job. Okay, and the thing is, the Democrat policies are basically telling unions, like they do other groups of people, including minorities, you've got to vote Democrat because you are automatically a Democrat. Well, finally, the unions are waking up, especially especially the rank and file, but many of the leaderships too are waking up to the fact that these people on the Democrat side of the aisle are not for you. One of the best examples of that is our police unions. How do you think that they feel about the bill, like I was talking about earlier, and how they're treated about, oh no, let's defund the police? So whether it's defund the police or pass the green bills that end up making it to where we can't build the things we build, so carpenters are out of work and plumbers are out of work and pipe fitters are out of work and electricians are out of work, and all of a sudden they realize, hey, maybe this isn't my old mom and dad's Democrat Party, and that's why you see them leaving. That happened with the steel workers in Granite City.
Yeah. It's definitely something I've heard you speak about. When President Trump came to Granite City Steel, I talked to many of them. I was at that event, and they all loved Donald Trump, and none of them would be public about it with me specifically. The last question I have for you, Congressman Bost, is the accusation and the attacks that I hear from the Democrats across the board, but it certainly fits this governor race in the state of Illinois, is the allegation of being an extremist. I don't really hear J.B. Pritzker stomping on any of his successes or talking about any issues. The idea is, Biden has said this many times as well, that if you elect the Republicans, things are going to get real bad. Well, voters right now know that things are bad right now under Democratic control. Is Darren Bailey an extremist, or do those people who you're speaking about, those blue collar folks that might be considering voting red for the first time or maybe the second time, if they support Darren Bailey, are they making a leap to the far right wing of the party?
No. What they're doing is they're holding to the American values. The American values of, hey, I want to be able to work hard, create the American dream with my family. I want to be able to have food that I can afford to put on the table, gas to put on my car, try to make it better for my kids and grandkids, and have the American dream. I don't want, and I'm not worried. You talk about extremist. I'm not worried about. I shouldn't have to be worried about, is my daughter going to have to play in girls' sports with someone who claims to be or identifies as a girl today? How do I try to explain keep my grandchildren from having to be in such extreme cases where they teach them extreme sex situations that no child of that age should be taught anything like that? And if they are taught anything about that, they should be taught at home. How is it extreme? Those are extremes. Those are the extremes. For somebody else to claim that we want to hold on to our country, we want to have a good economy, we want to be energy independent, we want to have a secure border, we don't want to worry about our kids dying of fentanyl, we don't want to have to worry about some other nation overtaking us because of bad policies, and then we want our enemies to fear us and our allies to trust us. That's not extreme. That's an American dream.
Yeah, 100%. Congressman Bost, we love speaking with you. We're going to be following this election and hoping for that red wave to hit Illinois like we hope that it hits the rest of the country.
Well, I will say get out and vote. And remember, it's hard for Republicans to do that, but vote early. I think it's a good thing to do. We've got to beat them at their own game. Don't do like other people that they say on the Democrat side in Illinois, don't vote early and vote often, but you can vote early.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much, Congressman Bost. Have a good afternoon.
All right, Annie. Thank you.
I agree. If you if you're kind of allergic to the thought of going to vote early, I do it, and I encourage you to go check it out. It's super easy. The lines rarely exist at all. When I went to vote early in the primary, there was nobody else in the courthouse when I was voting other than the 2 election judges. So if you have a spare minute right now, it's lunch break. Maybe you're coming up on your lunch break. Go cast a ballot. Congressman Bost there joining us from Illinois' 12th District. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Ryan Wiggins and Wiggins America is going to talk to us about maybe some races that aren't really being discussed in the mainstream and how they might actually have a strong impact on what does happen in just less than 2 weeks on Election Day here for the midterms. Let's get Ryan Wiggins in studio here in just a minute.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. The voice for hardworking, free-thinking Americans.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Cosmetic dentistry or dental implants, dentures, one of those things that maybe you've always thought about, maybe you need, but you don't know where to go for that. Well, start at Fountains Family Dentistry because they can get you in for an appointment and just do a general cleaning. You don't necessarily have to go straight to a root canal, but you can talk to Dr. Ty Parker, see what he has to say about whether you're in need of something that extreme, dentures, general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, that kind of stuff, or that sleep apnea mouth guard I'm always talking about. Go first and just have an appointment and talk through it because they'll tell you whether you're eligible or not due to either your circumstances with your health or your mouth health or your insurance. They'll talk through all those things with you at Fountains Family Dentistry, and they make it very, very easy to do. You will be comfortable and you will walk away knowing that you're talking to experts there and people who care about you. That's always one of the most important things, is just knowing that somebody cares about you. FountainsFamilyDentistry.com is where you can start. You can go there and make an appointment, or you can call them, but start there, FountainsFamilyDentistry.com.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Well, today, Wednesday, October 26th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow, treating the root cause problem of ED. It's backed by 60 studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain that spark in the bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce rapid results in the bedroom. You're going to love that, guys, trust me. And today only, we're offering 5 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is unprecedented, worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify free. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. 314-530-7777.
This station is now conducting a test of the emergency alert system.
I'm Eric Robert with Stifel. The economy is always changing, but what does it mean for your investments? Join me and fellow Stifel financial advisor Bob Stockdale during On the Money, Saturday mornings from 11 until noon on 97.1 FM Talk. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
On the hill above the bay, pineapple princess, I love you, you're the sweetest girl I've seen. Someday we're gonna marry and you'll be my pineapple queen. I saw a boy on a wahoo isle, floating down the bay on a crocodile. He waved at me and he swam ashore, and I knew he'd be mine forevermore.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show, and we appreciate you being here with us. We just got done speaking with Congressman Bost. Before that, candidate for the United States Senate in Missouri, Eric Schmitt. Big show so far, and of course, to follow all of that up, Wiggins America.
Wiggins! Wiggins! Thank you very much for that introduction. I do feel pretty good going into next Tuesday that we've got some races here to look at that may not be the marquee races, but that could have a dramatic impact. Of course, today's YouTube poll is about some of the races that we are looking at across the country that everybody's looking at.
I haven't mentioned it yet. Can I do that?
Yeah, please.
Go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel. I think we need 28 subscribers to get to 4,000. Wouldn't it be fun to get to that by the end of the show?
Oh, we can do that.
28 more.
20, how many? 24?
28 more.
28 more. Okay.
Yeah. You could make 28 more Google accounts by the end of the show.
I could do it while I'm talking.
Of course you could. You go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel, hit subscribe while you're there. But in the live chat portion, there is a poll. Which non-local states' election results are you anticipating the most? So non-Missouri or Illinois. Which state are you anticipating the most? Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, or other? And then you can leave us a comment as to which one you picked.
So obviously we've been watching the Senate closely because that's where the most impact on us will happen nationally. So if you watch a debate like in Pennsylvania last night, that could have an impact on us here in Missouri and Illinois simply because the U.S. Senate is in play. But there are a couple races that are not being talked about much. And I can't believe we're talking about them because one of them is New Hampshire right now. Maggie Hassan is still ahead in most polling, but very narrowly to a guy named Bolduc, who is just out of nowhere.
That's the kind of person that if you weren't paying attention and you walk into the ballot box, you're like, sweet name, I vote for you.
Yeah, who? Okay. We're talking about a candidate that was not even known very well in New Hampshire, let alone outside of New Hampshire, who is possibly going to challenge Hassan for that seat.
Wow.
If we get to that point where not only that seat is in play, but Nevada, this is one we have talked about because Laxalt has been leading that race, barely, but leading. If those are in play, then you're starting to talk about other states. Now, Annie and Brad, I looked back because I love looking at numbers. This time last year, the races that we were talking about in 2021, it was
Virginia.
It was Virginia governor for Youngkin, and it was New Jersey governor. Now, Phil Murphy, the Democrat, did end up holding on to that seat, but the polling going into that was such that he was ahead by about 9 to 10 points. The Democrat, Phil Murphy.
Telling me in this segment that the polling was wrong?
I am. Can you believe that?
I feel like we won.
When I conceded to Ryan that for like 30 days he could do Wiggins Americas on polls, I said, just do it. It's election time. You love it. There are people who like it. I don't. I didn't know that every day I'd feel like he was proving to me that the polls are always wrong.
But when you factor in the data with them being wrong, you can actually glean a lot of information from them. Because there are pollsters who get it right, like Trafalgar in that particular race had Phil Murphy winning by just 4 points. You know what he ended up winning by? 3. So they were really close.
So you're telling me Trafalgar was wrong?
They were barely wrong, but they were very close, whereas all other pollsters weren't. So this year, at almost this exact same time of year, we're looking at polling for now states, I'm very excited to report, Colorado, Connecticut, Washington. Those states are within just about that same margin as the New Jersey was. Now, not that the Republican came and won the New Jersey governor there, but they made it very, very close. And we've had another whole year of inflation. We've had another whole year of this economy, of crime. I just don't feel like, and I'm saying feel very deliberately there, that we're moving in a direction that's going to be better for Democrats in these states. It's the fact that we're even talking about them is a shock to me.
Yeah, I'm not really. You know what though? I'm not surprised because based on what we saw with Virginia and New Jersey, it was very clear that the country was moving in that direction because those are very blue states. I mean, the thing about Virginia that makes it so blue is its proximity to Washington, D.C., and a lot of D.C. people come and live in the Virginia suburbs. And so whenever that went for Youngkin, it told me that there's a movement afoot and people are unhappy. Now, that was a parental movement. I don't know that the movement is still a parental movement. I know that the parental movement is still part of it, but it's just constantly been moving toward the Republicans. So,
yeah. Now, that's the Senate. How much are you paying attention to governor's races, or does this matter as much to you as the Senate does?
It's huge.
Yeah. Well, certainly locally, I think we have reason to hope that we could see a Bailey governorship, especially when now, polling-wise, I'm looking at competitive races for governor in Minnesota, Michigan, we just saw last night. That's a swing state, so that should be competitive. But Whitmer has been ahead the whole time, and now that's very close. New Mexico, you guys. These are blue states. Oregon, New York, of course, this has been in the news quite a bit. These are states that really are never talked about until a year like this. And I'm really encouraged, honestly, by Minnesota, because that is part of that traditional blue wall that really is one of the last ones that is yet to fall. That if you can start to see Minnesota turning red in good Republican years, you could see that beginning the trend of all of those Rust Belt states being the deciders in the future. And if they're all trending red, gosh, that says a lot about the way the country's headed. So I think a lot of hope here, a lot of races that we're not necessarily talking about concerning the Senate and governor's races. Of course, about a week and a half till we know quite a bit more.
So how does this affect the Senate races? How would this affect the Senate layout then? If those places would go red, what are we looking at as far as a Republican Senate?
So if those, for instance, if New Hampshire were to go red, then you're probably seeing the states that we're talking about in our YouTube poll today have also gone red.
Yeah.
Which would mean you're seeing probably a 54-seat majority for Republicans. If you get into Colorado, Connecticut, Washington, you're talking about historic territory there, up to 56 maybe. I don't see that happening, but I do think 54 now is within play. So I will see. I mean, New Hampshire really, that one to me is key. If that one can be picked off, that's a true red wave for sure. Tsunami even.
Yep.
So as far as Nevada goes, that one also, I mean, we keep talking about that one being like barely on the bubble. That one would need to go too. But these three states that are in the YouTube poll today, those are the key states. If we walk away next Tuesday night thinking that those are in the bag, then I think it's safe to call it a wave at that point.
A wave. Why wouldn't it be a wave even if those two don't go?
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. If any of those states, if it's not up to, I mean, we talked about this before a little bit with 52 being kind of a key number. If it's not up to 52, I don't think you can call it a wave. But the House.
Absolutely, you can.
Yeah,
the Senate is stacked against the Republicans in this. There are 14 Democrats who have to retain their seats. There are 21 Republicans that have to retain their seats. If the Republicans come out of this with a majority, I'd call it a wave. Let's talk to Deroy Murdock in a minute.
You're the sweetest girl I've seen. Someday.
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. Jules on Hampton.
Stewart's American Mortgage, the Bagel Loan Guy, is waiting for your phone call or your text. I encourage text. I just like to text more. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. When you invest your time in thinking about rearranging your money to work the best for you,
With a mortgage refinance, you do have quite a few options. Make sure that one of them that you consider is with Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan. It's the only place you can get the bagel loan. Why use the bagel loan with Stewie? Well, when you go through that process, you go through other folks, they're going to charge you a lot of fees just for engaging in the process and finalizing that process. You don't pay those fees with Stewie. It's really that simple. It's not complicated. If you want to know the nuts and bolts of how he makes this the bread and butter of his business, you certainly can ask him. He'll explain it. But those fees don't exist. He doesn't tuck them away. He doesn't hide them. He will explain it to you when you give him a call. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan. NMLS number 226715.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
An outburst in court on Lisa Brady, Fox News. The man charged in the deadly attack on a Christmas parade in Wisconsin is convicted after loved ones spent days listening to his confrontations with the judge and his denials while representing himself at the trial.
Less than 3 hours of deliberations in Waukesha County Court at all 76 counts against Darrell Brooks Jr., coming back guilty.
Did the defendant commit first-degree intentional homicide while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
Burn in hell, you piece of shit.
Hey, you are to be removed right now. You will not do that.
An emotional reaction as the verdicts were read, delivering justice to victims, their families, and the city of Waukesha. Over 11 months after Darrell Brooks plowed his SUV into the city's Christmas parade, killing 6 and injuring over 60 others. Brooks is expected to receive multiple life sentences in prison when he's later sentenced.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Israel's president is visiting the White House. He and President Biden praising the recent agreement with Lebanon on maritime borders.
It's going to create new hope and economic opportunities.
They're also discussing Iran. This as the U.S. hits Iran with more sanctions over the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini in police custody, which has sparked protests around the world.
The United States is responding with another round of sanctions on members of Iran's intelligence agency, leaders of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, prison wardens, and others. The sanctions include 10 members of Iran's leadership with financial blocks and penalties over treatment of protesters and interference with internet access. Amini was arrested back in September by Iran's morality police for wearing her hijab too loosely. She collapsed at a police station and died a few days later.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. Security forces have been accused of killing more than 200 people since protests began. America is listening to Fox News.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating and cooling, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Cool temperatures stay with us going through our afternoon. The wet is gone and the sun is back as we go through our Wednesday afternoon. It's cool. It's still windy from the north-northwest. 62 for the high. Tonight, clear, cold, light winds going down to 37. Evening plans in the 50s. Then on Thursday, sunny and cool, 62. 62 again on Friday with a bit of a changeable sky. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
If you're a fan of 97.1, get a t-shirt. Visit 971talk.com/merch to see all the new t-shirt designs and show your support for St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuysHomesstlouis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris Buys vacant vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses. Even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in stlouis.com. Chris Buys Homes in stlouis.com or call 314-782-8000.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon, and 97.1 FM Talk with the St. Louis Odyssey stations will once again partner with you to raise funds for SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. It's all part of the annual Tree of Hope campaign. And with your help and the help of our sponsors, we've raised over $170,000 the past 2 years. If you own a business and would be interested in partnering with us to increase donations for this year's campaign, please sign up at 971talk.com/Cardinal Glennon or text the word HOPE to 20357. That's 20357.
For 25 years, ABC7 political reporter Charles Thomas gave you the straight news. Now, he's giving you real talk on the governor's race.
These Democrats are into name calling. They'll call people a racist, a misogynist, a homophobic person, or whatever, because they want to distract from the fact that they've accomplished so little in public office. And it's time people woke up and recognized that. J.B. Pritzker, what's he ever done outside of being born on third base and telling the world he hit a triple? J.B. Pritzker and his people called Darren Bailey an extremist. Darren Bailey? I met the man. He's a family farmer, somebody who understands what it's like to go to work every day, somebody who's fair-minded. I can trust this guy. I can trust this guy. Yeah, a farmer from Southern Illinois? Yeah. Farmer from Southern Illinois.
Paid for by people who play by the rules pack.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Lori Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
If you're retiring soon, join us Saturday at 9:30 a.m. for your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Come to Shane Company to see the largest selection of uniquely designed engagement rings and wedding bands. Stunning new styles in every price range. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
You've been an election denier, a climate change denier. You and Donald Trump were the masterful COVID deniers. We are dealing with a real crisis. And the more people get vaccinated, get those shots in arms, and I would do it all over again what I did last year, that mandate for healthcare workers.
So there you have Kathy Hochul. She's currently the governor of New York, and you heard it from her very lips, folks. When it comes to all of the mandates that have existed and any sort of COVID mitigations that she's put in place, there's nothing she'd do different. She would do it all over again. And before we get to our guest here, let's listen to what she says. Is crime an issue in New York? I'm not 100% sure. Let's
Anyone
listen.
who commits a crime under our laws, especially with the change they made to bail, has consequences. I don't know why that's so important to you. All I know is that we could do more.
Well, when I say
we
that
could
we
do
should
more.
remove
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Sure, go ahead.
We could do so much more. If there was a nationwide ban, but certainly a state ban on teenagers being able to get guns.
So it's not about putting people behind bars. It's about getting rid of the guns. It's not the people who are making the bad decisions. It's the guns that are doing the bad things. That was the New York debate last night between Kathy Hochul and Lee Zeldin. And I think New York has a chance to potentially go red in this seat. Let's speak to a New Yorker about it. Deroy Murdock joins us now, nationally syndicated columnist and Fox News contributor. Deroy, welcome back to the show.
Annie, great to be with you.
So did you have the ability to take in that debate as a whole? Were you taking it in as snippets afterwards? What'd you think?
I watched the whole thing, actually. The New York Young Republican Club held an excellent event last night, a debate watch party at their clubhouse in Manhattan, and I watched along with about maybe 70, 75 or so members of the New York Republican Club. We watched the whole thing on a nice big fat high-definition TV screen, and I and others were just appalled at so much of the stuff that came out of Kathy Hochul's mouth. As you mentioned, her re-embrace of all these COVID mandates that locked down the state while she was lieutenant governor under Andrew Cuomo, the disgraced governor who's now gone, and her statement, amazing, just jaw-dropping statement about crime. That why are you so concerned about locking up prisoners? It's all locking up criminals rather. It's all about going after guns. Well, if you have a gun that's illegal, that's a problem. But if you're standing on a subway and somebody shoves you onto the tracks with his arms or bare hands, where's the gun? If you're standing around somewhere and somebody stabs you, there's no gun involved there. We saw somebody go through a McDonald's here in Manhattan about 3-4 weeks ago with an axe and chop up some tables and break a glass wall. Thankfully, he didn't attack anybody physically with an axe. But is she for axe control? So there's this almost knee-jerk reaction on the part of left-wing Democrats that if we just do gun control, we'll get rid of crime. Well, there are a lot of crimes that take place that have nothing to do with guns, and they don't have an answer for that. And the one thing they're not interested in doing, apparently, is criminal control, which is lock up the criminals who are the ones who pull the triggers on these guns, since these guns don't just magically go off by themselves. And when it comes to that sort of thing, people like Kathy Hochul just have no answer to that, unfortunately.
Deroy Murdock with us right now. You're a New Yorker yourself, I'm sure. You know many New Yorkers as well. Regardless of whether you're sitting around 75 other folks in a New York Young Republican Club, or if you're just, going through your daily business out in the streets of New York, what do they say about the state of New York and what their voting priorities are?
When I talk to folks around here, people are scared. We had a city where you could walk around in peace for the most part, until a couple of years ago. But when the whole defund police movement started after the George Floyd riots, demonized the police, attacked them, demoralized them, a lot of the police said, all right, if you don't want us around, we're going to go back to sit behind our desks and that's what you want. And that largely is what they've done. And guess what? The criminals didn't say, oh, okay, they're being nice to us, we'll be nice to them. They went the other way around. We've seen a huge increase in subway crime, I believe up 41%. We've seen an enormous increase in robberies. We've seen a big spike in car thefts, all sorts of things like this. And what's most scary about it is that it's not like these crimes generally involve one gang versus another, or somebody buying some drugs, he doesn't like them, so he shoots his drug dealer, or vice versa. So many of these attacks are completely random. There's no connection between the perpetrator and the victim. People are just minding their business. People just come up and shove them into the street, shove them on the subway tracks, clock them in their temples and put them into a coma. Has happened to a man in the Bronx, and that guy was repeatedly let out on the street over and over again. And the randomness and lack of connection between the criminals and their victims really has people terrified. People are staying off the subways, I know. When I go to the Fox News channel, do my appearances, I can get from my door to theirs in 12 minutes. I normally take the subway. They've been offering me cars, and I say, you know what, great, I'll take a car there and a car back, thank you very much, and reduce the amount of times I'm on the subway when something could go wrong.
Deroy Murdock joining us now, Fox News contributor, nationally syndicated columnist. I'm curious if did you pay attention to the Oz-Fetterman debate there in Pennsylvania last night?
Very much so. Yeah, we watched the Hochul-Zeldin debate. We tuned over to watch the Fetterman-Oz debate, which is really quite something. And I think all of us watching were just amazed to watch as the debate went on. Fetterman's responses went from sort of incomplete and halting to just gaps of 4 and 5 seconds where he didn't say anything. He just seemed completely stumped. Luckily for him, that was only a 1 hour debate. If it had gone on for another 30 minutes, I think he would have been completely winded and totally out of gas and probably unable to open his mouth. And by the end, he had this amazing response on fracking. I think it was his worst moment. The question was, he says he's now for fracking. In the past, he's given interviews in which he said he's totally opposed to fracking. And the question was, how do you square these statements? And his response was, quote, I do support fracking, and I don't. I support fracking, and I stand, and I do support fracking. It was amazing. I mean, it was just a series of sort of sentence fragments, self-contradictory, not making any sense. And I got to think that people who unfortunately have been voting early in Pennsylvania since I think September 16th, some people who voted early for Fetterman are probably thinking, gee, I wish I could get my ballot back and change it for Oz. So I think Oz is going to benefit from this debate. He did very well. He was very well spoken. He was very solid on the issues. He took the fight to Fetterman, and Fetterman just stumbled and bumbled for an hour. And I just hope that there are not so many early votes for Fetterman that they cancel out whatever benefit Oz would have gotten out of his excellent performance in the debate last night.
I was going to ask you about your thoughts on Dr. Oz and his performance, because there may be Democratic candidates out there that have not made their case, or have made their case that they're not going to get the vote of those individuals who are asking for people to pay attention to inflation and crime, and they're not willing to talk about that. They want to make abortion the centrist issue, or the extreme radical Republican Party, as the Democrats will often characterize it. But the Republicans still have to make their case, and they still have to stand for something that's worth voting for, as opposed to just figuring out what we're voting against. You can talk about Dr. Oz, or you can talk about any other candidates that are running right now, but are there any really refreshing Republican candidates that you see out there during this election right now that you think show a bright future for the GOP?
I think the GOP has a pretty deep bench in terms of future leaders. And if we see, Blake Masters, Dr. Oz, Adam Laxalt, possibly Tiffany Smiley in Washington, possibly General Bolduc in New Hampshire. These are all very exciting people. Eric Schmitt in your state of Missouri is very well spoken, very capable. I believe State Attorney General is going to go on, I hope, to become U.S. Senator. Ted Budd from North Carolina is also very promising. These are all excellent candidates. These are, in many cases, experienced public servants and lawmakers. Some of them are brand new people who've never run for office before, but they're dedicated to limited government, free markets, individual freedom, and many of them are very well spoken and very persuasive leaders. And so I'm looking forward to not just putting a brake on Joe Biden's march towards socialism, but to the election and cultivation of future leaders in the GOP who will be leading our country for probably for decades to come.
We're watching President Biden muddle his way through this election season. I don't know if he's persona non grata on the campaign trail, but it's hard to find anybody who's really saying, let's hitch our trailer to his wagon for a boost in the campaign going right into Election Day. What do you think that President Biden is looking at right now as far as how this election is shaping up, but also what will his purpose be in the 2 years after he likely faces a Republican majority in the House and a potential Republican majority in the Senate?
I think Election Day, if it goes the way I hope happens, and if people work hard to deliver the red tsunami we need, as opposed to the red ripple, which will doom us to even more injustice and suffering under Joe Biden. If, in fact, the Democrats do get wiped out, I think a lot of people are going to say, all right, Joe, we gave you 2 years. You blew it. The economy's a mess, and we got wiped out in the House. We got wiped out in the Senate. We lost some governorships, maybe lost some state legislatures, and it's time for you to go. And they're going to pressure him to get out and say, look, I did one term. I'm out of here. And then there will be this battle royal for the next nominee of the Democrat Party. He may decide to hang on and stick around. And maybe, who knows, there's a slight chance, I think little chance, but maybe a microscopic chance he'll decide, well, maybe try to pivot a little bit to the center. I don't think Biden's really capable of that. But my guess is that they're going to try to blame him for their big losses and use that as an opportunity to throw him overboard and put in somebody else, maybe Gavin Newsom, maybe someone else, probably not Kamala Harris, to be their next nominee. If they're smart, they'll do that, but my guess is that this party is entirely capable of just engaging in mass cannibalism as opposed to any sensible, unified step forward.
Deroy Murdock with us right now, Fox News contributor. He's a nationally syndicated columnist as well. We had a poll question for our audience yesterday, and I'm kind of curious what your thoughts on it. I hear people, segments of the Republican Party right now, who have varying opinions on the idea of a Republican majority pursuing an impeachment of Joe Biden. Some Republicans want a strong commitment from candidates who are running right now that they will engage in that. Others say it would be politically disastrous to engage in that before 2024 to make that the purpose and the priority of the Republican Party. Where do you stand on the issue of impeaching Biden with that Republican majority and the benefits specifically to the country and also the ramifications for the party?
That's very interesting. I think there's a part of me that wants to get revenge for not just one but two impeachments against Donald J. Trump. But I think more probably useful would be impeaching Secretary Mayorkas of the Department of Homeland Security. He's the man who's gotten up and repeatedly said the border's closed, the border's secure. He is lying lying through his teeth when he says that. We've had something like just over 3 million people encountered by the Border Patrol on the southern border under Joe Biden. That number is up something like 360% higher than it was under the last 20 months of Donald J. Trump as opposed to the first 20 months of Biden. And I think that's an impeachment that actually he could be impeached in the House and who knows, maybe even be booted in the Senate if we have a big enough victory on November 8th. As far as getting Biden out of office, I think that's very unlikely to happen unless the Democrats somehow see that as a way to get rid of him and bring in Kamala Harris. But I don't think the Democrats probably would cooperate. So as far as impeachments go, I think Mayorkas is an easier and probably more valid target, even though Biden certainly could be impeached on his refusal to enforce the laws on immigration, if absolutely nothing else.
Deroy, thank you for your time today. We love speaking with you. We look forward to talking to you again next week, which will be 1 week before the midterms. Can't wait.
1 week before the midterms, indeed. All right, Annie, great to talk to you. Thank you.
You as well. Bye-bye. Deroy Murdock, nationally syndicated columnist and Fox News contributor. Let's take a quick break. Did you make that text that I asked you to make?
I did. I've got a response for you.
Is there a development?
There is a development.
A yes development?
It's a possibility.
Okay. We're working on something. Some local breaking news that we're going to try to cover here on the Annie Frey Show. We'll get the details taken care of here in the break. Stay tuned for that when we come back. Your vote on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. Which non-local, so non-Missouri, non-Illinois states election results are you anticipating the most? Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, or other? And if there's a different one you're watching, a different specific race you're watching, leave us a comment and tell us what you're keyed in on. We'll take notes because we got some exciting election coverage coming for you. Election night, you're going to want to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us there to watch us throughout the night as the results come in. We're going to have a lot of fun and bring you all the information on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Go vote. We'll be right back.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
On the next Mark Reardon Show, we'll break down the Oz-Fetterman debate in Pennsylvania and our weekly visit from Brian Kilmeade.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
So I want to talk to you about being a VIP. Have you signed up to be a VIP yet at the Diamond Shop? Well, it's really simple. Go to thediamondshop.net, thediamondshop.net, and connect with my friends in the business of jewelry, the people who I trust to go in and say, wow, I really don't know what I'm doing here, but this is kind of the direction I'm headed. This is the kind of piece I'm looking for. I did that with my husband to buy him a tie restraint. I was going in to look for a tie tack, and it turns out they've custom made something for Jared that I could give to him that wasn't going to be a pin that stuck into his fancy silk ties, let's be honest, from Kohl's. If you were looking for something fancy, if you were looking for something timeless, if you were looking for something, within a budget that's affordable and you want it to be nice and quality, you go to the Diamond Shop and you get that little red bag. Oh, I love the little red bag that you get from the Diamond Shop. They've been there since 1910, serving the people of Clayton and greater St. Louis, including the Frey family. Give them the opportunity to earn your business. Become a VIP online. You can do 6 months, same as cash with them. They have great financing, working opportunities with you as well. Find all the details online at thediamondshop.net.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, Tom's nephew. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online at retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review. Learn the strategies that have helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 36 years And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Paid for by Blaine for Congress.
I'm Blaine Lutkemar, and I approve this message.
We've seen some price increases. Some folks have raised worries that this could be a sign of persistent inflation. But that's not our view.
Reality is, inflation is now at a 40-year high, costing the typical family over $700 more every month just to stay even. That's the Biden extremist tax you pay every day. You pay it at the gas pump because of the extremist war against American energy, shutting down pipelines and using red tape to stop new development. You pay it in the devastation in your retirement account. You pay it in the border crisis and out-of-control crime wave. And now, they've driven America into a recession. Our most powerful weapon to stop them is our vote. It's in our hands to stop the damage they're doing to our families and America. November 8th, vote.
Mark Cox here. Prices on just about everything are still rising, but thanks to my friends at CarShield, I don't have to worry about how much it'll cost to fix my car when it breaks down. Their price will never go up, and they help handle everything. That's why I love CarShield. When I locked my keys in my car on vacation, CarShield was there for me because they offer roadside assistance with every protection plan at no extra cost. When my car radio started acting up, I got it replaced because CarShield covers those things under my protection plan. When you need a repair, you don't have to deal with the paperwork or the headaches. You just choose the mechanic to do the work, and CarShield administrators handle the rest. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down. They can have yours too. Get coverage like I did. Go to carshield.com/Cox or call 800-391-8888 to save 10% on your plan. That's carshield.com/Cox.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
When I lost it, yeah, you held my hand, but I tossed it. Didn't understand you were waiting as I dove into the waterfall. So say,
welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. I just saw this on here on my cut sheet, Brad. I assume you put this together. The View continued.
It was a conglomeration. It was a joint effort between myself and Hannah.
Okay. So yesterday, I played a clip from The View, and here, this is what Joy Behar said.
But you know, this guy DeSantis has the charisma of this cup. Okay.
Yeah.
I think when Chris says, "Are you going to run in 2024?"
Yeah.
He looks like he's having a stroke. He can't even answer that simple question.
Yeah.
This is where I say Trump has a better shot, certainly with the Republican Party and the Republican base, than he does. Because Trump, as annoying as he is and as hateful as he is, he has that kind of negative charisma that is what we've come to see in the past.
So she goes on. But did you hear how she criticized Ron DeSantis there for a minute? She said that
DeSantis has the charisma of this cup. Okay.
Yeah.
I think when Chris says, "Are you going to run in 2024?"
Yeah.
He looks like he's having a stroke. He can't even answer that simple question.
Yeah.
So that's what Joy Behar said the day after the Ron DeSantis, Charlie Crist governor debate in Florida. She did not like the way that Governor DeSantis responded to the question, "Are you going to run for president?" She says he looks like he's having a stroke. He can't even formulate a sentence. So I don't know what you pulled here, but it says, this is from yesterday. This is my comments from yesterday after I played that. Listen to Joy Behar and her normal spewing on The View. Insult Ron DeSantis by suggesting he looks like he has a stroke. What is she going to say tomorrow on The View after John Fetterman, who is recovering from a stroke, debates Dr. Oz on television? What's going to happen next? It's an insult to Ron DeSantis, tomorrow it will be the strength of Fetterman. I haven't heard what Joy Behar said yet.
Well, Joy and Sonny.
I have 3 clips here.
Yep, let her rip.
So this is from today.
Mm-hmm.
So you heard what Joy Behar said about Ron DeSantis casually throwing out an insult to him, suggesting that he sounds like he had a stroke. This is what Joy Behar said this morning. You know, I'll play this. Let me play a Fetterman clip here real quick. If you've managed to get this far into the news day and know nothing about Fetterman's appointment or performance last night, here's one of his answers to a question at the debate.
No, we all have to make sure that everyone that works is able to, that's the most American bargain, that if you work full-time, you should be able to live in dignity as well, true. And I believe they haven't have any businesses being we can't have businesses being subsidized by not paying individuals that just simply can't afford to pay their own way.
That was an answer that he gave to a question. I think, because I followed just as much as I could last night, was that a minimum wage question?
I didn't. I never.
Sure?
I never saw, and I tried so hard to try to figure out what he was talking to.
That was John Fetterman, who is recovering from a stroke that he had in May. His stroke, I think, happened 3 days before the primary. This is Joy Behar's response this morning.
The Republican Party is running a bunch of ads about showing Fetterman stumbling on things because of the stroke. Mm-hmm. What kind of a doctor is behind that? Aren't you supposed to do no harm? It's so unempathetic to the guy, you know?
Unempathetic to the stroke survivor. Oh, wait, there's more.
Oz is very slick. He's a TV guy. Yeah. Remember that. There's another woman in Arizona, Carrie Lake, also a TV woman. Mm-hmm. So they're very slick, you know, and Fetterman's kind of like, you know, with the stroke and without the stroke, he's not as slick. But he has ideas and he has governed. Yeah. You know, Oz, and I know Oz. I mean, I've been to his house, and he has a part of him. You know, I called him one time to help with the recommendation for a doctor. He was right there for me. Mm-hmm. He's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at this point. I don't know which one is the real Dr. Oz. But voting for the slick person on TV is like voting for me. Don't vote for me for politics. I know how to work on television. That doesn't mean that's the same thing. We had Donald Trump.
She almost said it.
What does Sonny Hostin have to say?
It was really strange to me that he chose to bully a stroke victim. Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, he obviously was bullying him. And, you know, I don't think the people of Pennsylvania or the people in general liked that, because Fetterman raised $1 million after that debate. And I think it takes real courage to show that you've been knocked down. I think it takes real bravery to allow people to see your weakness.
You still have to represent the people of Pennsylvania. Being called a stroke victim the day after your debate sure has 2 different temperatures based on who's doing the debating. It's an insult one day, Joy Behar, and it's the strength the next day. Told you so.
You've got receipts.
It's so annoying.
It's so predictable.
It's so predictable. I don't feel particularly smart. I just feel like that's obvious. That's the way this goes. You know, I'll play for you. I don't want to. Fetterman wants to be the senator from Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So he's putting himself out there in the public eye. Here's how he opened the night.
As lieutenant governor, you're running for a seat that could decide the balance of power in Washington. What qualifies you to be a U.S. senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody. I'm running to serve Pennsylvania. He's running to use Pennsylvania.
Usually you don't. I mean, if Donald Trump walked up to a microphone to start a debate and said, good night, everybody, they wouldn't let that go. That would go on forever. If Dr. Oz said, good night, everybody, as his opening statement, The View would be talking about him having his faculties about him. Dr. Oz didn't say that. Trump didn't say that. John Fetterman did. This is the reality of Fetterman's situation that Pennsylvanians have to determine whether they want it to be their own reality as well.
No, we all have to make sure that everyone that works is able to, that's the most American bargain, that if you work full time, you should be able to live in dignity as well.
So that was the clip that I played just before, and you can tell that it's very difficult to understand the beginning and the end of that point. Here's more.
Well, given how he performed recovering from his stroke, Michael, some Republicans are out there tonight saying that Fetterman is unfit, he should withdraw. But do they not have a race in the state of Georgia, someone running for the very same position in Herschel Walker, who's facing family scandals, lies about his past jobs, and in his last debate, pulled out a prop badge and somehow believes he has some sort of adjunct role with the local police force.
MSNBC's Stephanie Rule reacting there. Why does John Fetterman's race in Pennsylvania have anything to do with what Herschel Walker is doing in Georgia? And how insulting is it to compare the performance of John Fetterman, who's recovering from a stroke, May, June, July, August, September, October, 5 months later, after having a stroke, John Fetterman is campaigning, which is a very rigorous, difficult thing to do in a very public way. Kudos to him for being able to do what he's been able to do before. But folks, it's not about the candidate. It's about the people of Pennsylvania. This is where the media and the big entertainment industry that politics is right now gets super lost. You get stuck into conversations and debates that aren't even about what the real issue is. This seat belongs to the people of Pennsylvania. John Fetterman is not capable of going to the United States Senate on behalf of the people of Pennsylvania and handling the job, the responsibilities, the amount of work that it's going to take to do that job. He's not. I don't need to explain it. I feel bad kind of saying it. I don't want to pick on him. I don't want to dunk on him. You know, people do that with Joe Biden. There's lots of audio that could be played. We try not to do that here because everybody knows it. Everybody understands it. You don't need to hear me playing clips for you of how ridiculous some of these people sound. And then we, sit and laugh and go, can you believe it? Yeah, we can believe it. Like I was saying about The View, it's incredibly easy to predict that she could flippantly insult somebody, making it a suggestion that DeSantis sounded like he was having a stroke. He was doing so poorly answering that question. He sounded like he was recovering from a stroke. And then the next day they're talking about how the ability of John Fetterman to show his vulnerabilities is his strength. That is so obvious what they're going to do to try to shore up this election. It is not bullying to point to John Fetterman and say, I don't believe he's capable of doing the job. That's not bullying. I do not believe that John Fetterman is mentally capable of doing the job. Communication is a foundational necessity when it comes to being in the Senate. His stroke is sad. It is unfortunate. I wish it on nobody, and I pray in my heart, in sincerity, for his full recovery. He is not there yet. And it is incredibly unfair to ask the people of Pennsylvania to set aside their better judgment because the seat belongs to them. It doesn't belong to Dr. Oz. It doesn't belong to John Fetterman. It belongs to neither of them should one of those individuals win. It still belongs to the people of Pennsylvania. The job is under the judgment of the people of Pennsylvania. John Fetterman going to the United States Senate is not some sort of big championing issue for stroke victims if they're not capable of doing the job. Let me give you an example of where a Democrat is in office that isn't able-bodied the same way that most of the other people are. that does show that these things can be accommodated. Tammy Duckworth is an injured war veteran. She is in a wheelchair. She is a Democrat. I don't like her as my senator. Her policies are bad, but she has shown, based on the votes that she has gotten in the past from the people of Illinois, she has made her case. They have elected her into office, and she has been able to represent the values in office that she espoused during the campaign to earn the votes of blue Democrats in the state of Illinois. And she has gone to the United States Senate, and she has been able to be somebody who lives in a wheelchair, who is in the United States Senate, and has shown that that is not a hindrance to her. Her abilities are not hampered in her mental process. Again, I disagree with pretty much every single one of her policies. I will be voting for Kathy Salvi for Senate in Illinois. Yes, Illinois, you have a senator that's up for re-election in Tammy Duckworth. I will not be voting for her. But the fact that she has a modified ability to move about the same chambers that those who are walking on their legs have the ability to do, I champion her for her willingness to rise above that limitation that she has and still represent the people of Illinois. I wish that she would use some more sensible policies, but my thoughts on her ability to go to Washington, D.C., I'm not concerned about her mental capacity. I'm concerned about her policies, and her physical abilities do not preclude her at all from being able to represent the people of Illinois in the United States Senate. Again, I'm a supporter of Kathy Salvi's. I think she would bring common sense representation to the United States Senate from the state of Illinois. But these are very different issues. John Fetterman is not presenting himself in a way that represents Pennsylvanians. And Dr. Oz is not an extreme Republican candidate. He's not the guy who's the far right wing of the Republican Party. Pennsylvanians have a choice in front of them, and they've seen it with their own eyes. And it's not wrong to say, I don't think that this person is up to the job. It's actually important to speak up and say, I don't think this person is up to the job. Here's the former Philadelphia mayor.
When we talk about Pennsylvania, John Fetterman tried his best under difficult circumstances. Mr. Oz, as a doctor, I think literally violated the Hippocratic Oath. He would never have advised any patient of his, I hope, would have never advised any patient of his in the aftermath of a stroke to even be on a debate stage. John Fetterman was valiant in his effort. He tried his best to answer the questions that were asked. Mr. Oz did not. And I want to give that credit.
So you can listen to the mayor there, and what he's saying is that he's proud of John Fetterman for what John Fetterman was capable of doing. That is a judgment and an assessment about John Fetterman. And you can look at where John Fetterman has been since the stroke and where he is right now and be happy and encouraged that he is making the progress that he is making, and still at the same time hold the second thought in the head at the same time that he is not capable of representing the people of Pennsylvania in the United States Senate. You can clearly and simply wish John Fetterman a full, speedy recovery and say he's not up to the job. I certainly hold those two thoughts at the same time. We're going to take a quick break. KMOX sports reporter, host of Sports Open Line, Matt Pauley, is going to join us. Well, why? Big Cardinals news that just broke here within the last hour. Matt Pauley is going to break down the latest in what's going on with the St. Louis Cardinals, multiple personnel moves that have happened. He'll give us the latest right here on the Andy Frey Show when we come back.
Crushed it, moving way too fast, and we crushed it, but it's in the past. We can make this leap through the curtains of the waterfall.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
Air Comfort Service, aircomfortservice.com. Easy website to remember, of course. Corey Malone and the amazing staff people that are going to come to your home and help you assess whatever the issue is that you're having with your HVAC system. You're going to be really grateful that you have the best of the best working on this for several reasons. First of all, you're having people in your house. It's kind of nice to make sure that you know that they're genuinely good people. Multiple times, Air Comfort Service has had to come out to my house to help us with HVAC problems that we had. And each and every time, the utmost respect for our home, for our family, for our dog. And it was pleasant to have them there and to working on the HVAC system. I trusted them. The other thing that they do is they provide you with options. So there might be a system issue with your furnace. If you've noticed that when you've turned it on, it doesn't seem to be working exactly the way it should be. They can talk to you about replacing it. Of course, they can talk to you about repairing it and tell you this is what you're looking at with the repair. This is what you're looking at with the replacement. But I want to make sure that you understand, should you choose to replace your HVAC system with Air Comfort Service, they have rebates, they have financing, they have many different ways to help make this whole process a little less painful and a little easier on the pocketbook. Find out all the details online at aircomfortservice.com.
Tune into the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del, self-made millionaire and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their honor flight today at gsLhonorflight.org, and for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Filtering the BS pushed by the mainstream media.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy that you are here with us. It's a beautiful Wednesday, fall afternoon here in St. Louis. Real quick, I want to mention the YouTube live chat poll. Which non-local states' election results are you anticipating the most? So, folks, non-local means not Missouri, not Illinois. I want to know, is it Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, or something else? And if it's something else, you got to leave us a comment. Brad, do you have, or any of these three, like, yeah, that's really where I'm really waiting to see what happens?
Well, I was waiting to see what was going to happen in Pennsylvania. I think last night answered my question. I think that outside of the like really hardcore Democratic voters, those that have not cast their ballot in early voting yet and have an independent mind and think like, man, you know what? We can't put Fetterman in office because he's not capable. So that kind of moves off the radar for me because of that. I mean, I'll keep an eye on it, but that was my biggest one. Really, one of the ones that I'm really interested in, I don't think it's one of the options, is New York. I
didn't put New York on there.
I'm really interested in that governor's race over there.
Did New York put itself on the map for you last night more than, like, would you have said that earlier this week, or do you think?
Yeah, earlier this week. But, I mean, this is a recent development for me because that gap has been closing and closing and closing. And it's like, holy cow, New York could have a Republican governor, and that would be awesome to me, you know, especially like Kathy Hochul has done such a terrible job. Like, I thought Cuomo was bad, and she's just the worst. She's so much worse. I mean, from a governor standpoint.
Yeah.
We're not talking as a person, but from a gubernatorial standpoint, he's the worst.
Almost sets that bar pretty high.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's going to be a hard one to beat.
Well, we'd love for you to go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and leave your vote. Which non-local, non-Missouri, non-Illinois states election results are you anticipating the most? Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, or another one, like maybe New York, like Brad said. Go vote and leave your comments why you voted the way you did at the Annie Frey YouTube channel. The poll is located right there in the live chat section of our live broadcast right now. 15 subscribers, just 15 away from 4,000. I think we're getting very close. Let's make it happen. Let's get to our guest here. KMOX sports reporter, host of Sports Open Line, Matt Pauley joins us right now. And Matt, I haven't really teased any of the specifics about the St. Louis Cardinals news. People might have seen last night, Skip Schumacher leaving the Cardinals dugout to go manage the Marlins. But at a press conference today, quite a bit of other news mentioned, and we can't wait to hear it straight from you.
Yeah, so Schumacher's out, as you mentioned. He gets the job in Miami. The team is going to end up having 4 openings on the Major League coaching staff as Mike Maddox, the pitching coach, and Jeff Albert, the hitting coach, they each make the decision to leave their jobs. They were John Mozeliak, the Cardinals president of baseball operations, said that each of those individuals would have been offered contract extensions, but they make the decision to leave their jobs. And then bullpen coach Brian Eversgerd is leaving as well, although he's going to stay in the organization in another role. So those were the big stories today. The other one was that no decision yet from Nolan Arenado on what he's going to do in terms of opting in or opting out of the contract. But Mozeliak did say that they feel very good about where they're at right now with Arenado.
Is there some news with Adam Wainwright as well?
Yeah, so he's back. I guess maybe I buried the lead a little bit on that one. So Adam Wainwright is going to return, another 1-year contract for him. And they've got a lot of starting pitchers going into next season. I think the big question on Wainwright is, can he go back to kind of being the guy that he was this past year in April, May, June, July, and get past the struggles of August and September? And he put out a social media post maybe a month ago, a few weeks ago, where he talked about he figured out what had led to that downturn and that they're just, he never got the opportunity to pitch again after that. So he is back. I think he's excited to return. I think it's going to be fun to see if he can, if what he said at the end of the season in that social media post truly is what was leading to his lack of success.
After the Cardinals lost that second game, Adam Wainwright was in the locker room, and when he was facing the press, I don't know if you happened to be there when this happened, or I'm sure you saw the coverage if you weren't specifically in the locker room when it took place. But he was talking about the beginning of his season and the last 4 weeks of his season and discussing how he took a really good season and those last 4 weeks, it really ended up going south. And to me, what he was saying there was it was like a direct message to John Mozeliak. Like, I know that this wasn't, I know that the last 4 weeks does not reflect what I could do the rest of this season. And then you add in that tweet that he sent out that kind of explained the specifics with taking that ball off his knee, I think it was that you said. So it kind of painted the picture of, if you're looking at Adam Wainwright's season, you are going to pinpoint one spot and go, what happened here? Do the Cardinals feel strongly and confidently about him coming back and being the Adam Wainwright of the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I absolutely think they do. And I was in that media scrum, and this is maybe why this isn't big news to me, because I always thought he was going to come back. I listened to what he said in that final media conference and talked about, I heard his voice, and he talked about the disappointment of not even getting to pitch in the postseason. You don't talk like that if you're not planning on returning. So I always had the sense that he absolutely would be back. And I do think the Cardinals believe in him. And I think there's a lot of validity to what he was saying. I had a former Major League pitching coach, a guy by the name of Tom House, on Sports Open Line a week or so ago after that came out. And I'm not smart enough to know if everything that Wainwright said in that post is valid. So I asked somebody who would know, and I said, is this right? Does this make sense? And Tom House said, yeah, absolutely. Like that 100% makes sense. And those things happen, and they're tough to identify. And that's why it did take a little bit for them to figure that all out.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting to have watched the season and then send off all season really for Yachty and for Albert. And Waino was always included in the conversations, but it was always specifically left out. He was not retiring. There wasn't really a comment about it, but the three of them in their storied careers together, the two were retiring and Adam Wainwright was a brother among them. It doesn't surprise me that he's coming back. I'm happy that the Cardinals would have him. Now, we have vacancies on the coaching staff, a bench coach, a hitting coach vacancy. Obviously, my mind and many St. Louisans, Cardinal fan minds are going to Albert Pujols and to Yadier Molina. I hear bench coach and hitting coach right there. It would be a pretty quick turnaround. You retire, you get the opportunity to take some time and be with some family, and then you're right back in the dugout again. Is that a pipe dream, or is that a fantasy worth dabbling in for a while?
I think it's more of a pipe dream, to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't know where they're at from a mental standpoint. I just know the grind that exists being a Major League Baseball player, and I can't imagine doing that for 20 years and then jumping into a job that's even more grindy. Like it is, as a coach, you're there earlier, you're there later. It's a ton of work. Molina probably has a future in coaching. He's going to manage the Puerto Rican World Baseball Classic team. So he's dabbling right now. Who knows what Pujols is going to do. But also these guys haven't done it either, and not taking anything away from who they are as baseball players and obviously their knowledge of the game. But in some ways, you're talking about major league coaches, you probably want people who have a little bit more experience than those guys at the same time. One more thing, especially when you have a very young manager in Oliver Marmol.
Yeah, there's a definite difference between those who do and those who coach. And you wonder how quickly it could translate from being on the field to being in the dugout on a regular basis. Brad wants to ask you a question real quick.
Yeah, I was wondering, you said that Albert and Maddox left voluntarily, so they weren't dismissed by the team?
Correct. Yeah, they were both going to be offered contracts and be given the opportunity to return, and they made the decisions.
Is there any indication on where they're going or what their plans are?
No, they were asked about. Mozeliak was specifically asked about that on Maddox. Had no clue. It really felt like that Albert was maybe just frustrated with the amount of criticism that he was taking in that job as a hitting coach, and that may have led him to that decision, which is interesting. And also, don't forget, like, those guys weren't hired to be on Oliver Marmol's staff. Maddox was a couple managers ago, and then Albert comes in. Like these guys were on Mike Schilt's staff, so this, in some form or fashion, this was always going to happen, where Marmol was going to get an opportunity to get some more of kind of his guys on the coaching staff.
Any thoughts on possible candidates to come in and be that hitting coach, that bench coach, bullpen coach?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I think, I look at that bench coach position, and I personally would love to see the Cardinals go with more of a veteran guy, maybe even a former major league manager, because you're losing, so much wisdom and experience in your pitching coach with Mike Maddox. I think it would be a really good thing to maybe fill up that veteran role of the bench coach, to have somebody that Marmol can really rely on in that kind of role. A lot of people have talked about Matt Holliday, and Matt Holliday is somebody who's in the college coaching ranks and obviously is real connected to the Cardinals. If Maddox doesn't leave, then I think all of a sudden the Matt Holliday conversation at bench coach starts to make a little bit of sense. But because of Maddox leaving, I just feel like you've really got an opportunity at bench coach to maybe bring in a veteran guy to kind of just be a real good resource for Marmol.
20 seconds left here. Speaking with Matt Pauley with KMOX Sports Open Line. Hunter on YouTube says, ask him if we're signing Aaron Judge.
Probably not.
But you're saying there's a chance.
I guess it's not impossible. He's going to be so expensive.
Yeah, I'll chip in. I've got $5 right here that I will put into the Aaron Judge pot for St. Louis Cardinals. Well, we'll see. There's always hope. But this is how we started the conversation on the Annie Frey Show to get Albert Pujols back. So maybe we'll just get the good juju going right now. Matt, thanks for squeezing us into your schedule. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports Open Line host. When we come back, the whole crew back in studio here on the Annie Frey Show.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Well, today, Wednesday, October 26th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow, treating the root cause problem of ED. It's backed by 60 studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain that spark in the bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce rapid results in the bedroom. You're going to love that, guys, trust me. And today only, we're offering 5 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is unprecedented, worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify free. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. 314-530-7777.
Honey, it's time to leave for the game. Are you still in the basement? We're going to be late.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to clean up the water from last night's rain. These cracks in the basement walls aren't getting any better.
I told you to call Midwest Basement Tech. They fixed our neighbor's basement and it's been dry ever since. And Midwest Basement Tech even guarantees it.
Don't miss another second of your favorite game because of basement or crawl space problems. Call Midwest Basement Tech at 1-800-848-9805 or visit us on the web at MidwestBasementTech.com for money-saving coupons. You don't have to live with leaks, cracks, and mold in your basement. We work year-round and our estimates are free. Does your home's foundation have bowed or cracked walls? This could be a sign of foundation failure. Call now for a free expert analysis of your home's foundation problems. Serving both sides of the river, call us at 800-848-9805 for your local service tech or on the web at MidwestBasementTech.com.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
President Biden calls it lowering costs for families. Lisa Brady, Fox News. He's highlighting efforts to rein in so-called junk fees charged by companies for a wide variety of things, including travel and concerts.
Americans are charged billions of dollars in unfair fees every year, President Biden says.
Things like has been mentioned, surprise banking overdraft fees, excessive credit card late fees, hidden hotel booking fees.
The president is directing federal agencies to consider new rules to eliminate the added cost of junk fees.
Fees that were never disclosed. And there was no way to avoid the fee, like processing fees for concert tickets.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau also issued new guidelines on bank fees for overdrafts and bounced deposits.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. This as the midterm countdown continues.
This country is in trouble. Inflation, crime, a woke military that's focused on pronouns rather than being lethal.
Florida Senator Rick Scott, who chairs the Senate's Republican Campaign Committee, predicts they will win control. The Pentagon just announcing a successful test of hypersonic technology, blasting off a rocket from a seaside launch pad in Virginia to help develop a new class of weapon by testing new equipment and materials. Guilty on all counts in Wisconsin for Darrell Brooks Jr., whose SUV crashed into a Christmas parade last year, killing 6 people, injuring more than 60 in Waukesha, where Dan Thompson is the police chief.
I want to say thank you to the jury and the court process and the court proceedings and everyone that's involved in the court who found this defendant guilty, which is just and right.
Brooks, who represented himself at the trial, faces life in prison. He said the crash wasn't intentional. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. America is listening to Fox News.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just 1 dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, Heating and Cooling, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Cool temperatures stay with us going through our afternoon. The wet is gone and the sun is back as we go through our Wednesday afternoon. It's cool. It's still windy from the north-northwest. 62 for the high. Tonight, clear, cold, light winds going down to 37. Evening plans in the 50s. Then on Thursday, sunny and cool, 62. 62 again on Friday with a bit of a changeable sky. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Did you know the Missouri State Treasurer's Office holds over $1 billion of unclaimed property? That's billion with a B. Things like utility deposits or uncashed checks and other money you didn't know was missing. This is Missouri State Treasurer Scott Fitzpatrick. My office wants to return this money to rightful owners, and the average claim is $300. Search your name online 24/7 at showmemoney.com. Claiming your money is always free, so search today at showmemoney.com.
If you're looking to purchase flooring, have you checked out Michael's Flooring Outlet? Well, you want to know about Michael's Flooring Outlet because this is the St. Louis way to purchase flooring. If you are in the greater St. Louis area, Michael's Flooring Outlet is very simple to get to. You can find them in St. Peters, Missouri. They're on 116 Main Street. How about Darting Prairie? They're located on Town Square Avenue and Creve Coeur Olive Boulevard. But online, you can find them at igotfloored.com. The thing that I appreciate the most about Michael's Flooring Outlet is how you go there, you make your purchase, you get quality, you get value and wonderful products, but you're going to get treated by a customer sales staff that is neighbors. These are St. Louis people. This is a business that's been built up by a St. Louis family. So you're supporting local. That's a really big deal. It's a big deal to me, and I think it's probably a big deal to you. If you're looking for carpeting, if you're looking for the Mohawk Smart Strand line specifically, if you're looking for the Techwood Plus flooring, if you're looking for any other kinds of flooring like hardwood, laminate, tile, luxury vinyl, or waterproof flooring, Michael's Flooring Outlet has got you covered. Find them online at igotfloor.com.
As a Shane Company jewelry consultant, I see so many customers who have struggled to find a wedding band at other stores. When they come to Shane Company, they find the one. Not only do we have the widest selection of unique wedding bands, we are also experts at helping you find the perfect band to complement your engagement ring, even if it's an heirloom ring. You can play around with stacking bands, try contour bands, or just go with something simple. There are so many options. We also have handsome men's bands, hundreds of styles to choose from in every price range. You might have no idea what you want, but we'll take the time to show you different metal types, fits, and styles. You can even build your own with our online tool. And we offer a free lifetime warranty. Come see us and we'll help you both find a band that you love wearing every day. For some helpful tips, check out our online wedding band guide.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
As the leaves change, leave the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
If the media ignores them, then we're talking to them. And we're posting it all as it happens. 97.1 on Twitter and Facebook.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Well, you already knew that because you're the reason why this is home, and we appreciate you for being here with 97.1 FM Talk. It's been to me the amount of debates that have been happening in the last week make it feel like we are in election time. Now, I will add that on November 9th, that starts the presidential election. So don't feel like, 12 days until 12 days until 13 days.
13 days.
Until the election season is over. I mean, first prediction. What happens after November 8th? What's the first presidential news, 2024 news that we hear?
Trump's running.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
No. Joe Biden is not running.
I'm with Ryan on this one. I think Biden will announce that he's not going to run, but I don't think that's going to be like
what
immediate.
a shame.
I don't think it's going to be immediate. I think he's going to do some pardoning first, and then he's going to announce that he's not going to run.
What do you think it's going to be?
I don't know. I'm going to be napping at that point. Now, I've said before, and I'm sticking by it, there's no reason to change my mind now. I don't think Trump is running again. Do you know anybody else who doesn't think Trump is running?
Oh, well, you guys all do.
Really? I don't think he's... I don't know. I think something will be announced with Trump's presidency, whether he is running or that he's not.
I think... Okay, so I set the stage one time about this before, and I just like to think about it. So I'll share this this fantasy of mine with you again. But I imagine a scenario, and again, understand that I know and respect that most people think that Donald Trump is running again, and I don't think that that's a bad prediction.
Okay,
I'm choosing to believe that he's not. That he has a rally in Florida.
I love hearing about this.
Donald Trump does one of his rallies. I think he'll continue to have rallies. I don't think it'll be the next rally after the election, but there will be a rally in Florida. Maybe it'll be in January, which would be a good time to have a rally in Florida. People would want to go to that. Maybe it's 2 years out of the 2024 inauguration day.
Okay.
Donald Trump's having a rally. Everybody suspects this is where he's going to announce his candidacy for presidency. Because, of course, if he's going to make an official announcement, it's not going to be a casual thing. It's going to be a big deal. So he has an announcement, and he is hosting a rally to make this big announcement. And he takes a stage, and he says 2024 is going to be pivotal. We are going to have to take it to the people in the swamp and root the people out of the swamp and give America back the government that serves the people instead of the people, constantly having to get permission from their big government masters in the Democratic Party. We need to lay it all on the line. We have to take back America. We have to make America great again. I'm endorsing Ron DeSantis for president.
That gives me goosebumps. I hope that happens.
It's in Florida. It makes sense. I know that that's crazy. You're shaking your head at your radio right now. You're probably right. But I don't believe the reason why, the thought that I have that makes me believe that he's not running is I really don't think his family wants the next 4 years of their lives to continue in the way that the last 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years of their lives have gone. They have small children. They have lives that they want to leave. They have businesses that they want to run the way they want to run them. And if you do that in the reality of a Trump-blessed candidacy of a successor to the Make America Great Again movement, which is an America First movement, if Donald Trump blesses that person, it's going to be powerful. I think that the only reason why Donald Trump wouldn't run is because his family begs him not to privately. I don't think that they will ever say that publicly because they can't, because the Trump brand, everybody wants Trump. The Trump brand has to be Trump. And you can't continue that version of that brand by getting beaten again, especially by a Republican in a primary. And you can't continue that version if you're going to destroy your family within. And if there's anything that Donald Trump has to love more than himself, and that is a high bar, it would have to be his family. I can't think of anything else that would stop him. And I just don't think his family, and Melania specifically, want him to do it.
I hear what you're saying about the high bar, and I will take it a little step further and say that the bar is actually too high to listen to his family.
You think he likes him? Even if his family said no,
Yeah.
dad, don't, husband, he'd still do
His
it.
ambition is beyond that.
I believe that's possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like
I see it both ways.
Yeah. I will not. There's no part of me that's going to be jaw drop shocked if Donald Trump runs for re-election. I'm there with you.
Yeah.
But I just don't believe at the end. I think Ron DeSantis is a wonderful, easy handoff for the Trump legacy to continue in an almost like legend-like status on his own terms. I just think it's simpler.
I did not watch, other than in clips, as we're apt to do, watch the Chris DeSantis debate. I did watch the whole Fetterman-Oz debate almost entirely. I missed the very beginning of it. But I didn't watch the Chris DeSantis debate because I feel like that one is basically in the bag. I don't think DeSantis is going to have any trouble there. But in the clips that I saw, he did not seem to come out and strongly say, no, I will only be your governor for the next 4 years.
That was the criticism when Joy Behar said on The View that Ron DeSantis seemed like he was recovering from a stroke. It was because of that specific question.
But, this guy, DeSantis, has the charisma of this cup, okay?
Yeah.
I think when Chris says, are you going to run in 2024, he looks like he's having a stroke. He can't even answer that simple question.
That is just a mind-blowing statement that I cannot simply get over right now in this point in time.
So
There's so much there.
Yeah.
But they were on the I won't suffer you through all the clips that I have from that segment where the people on The View are contorting themselves inside out. They're terrified that Ron DeSantis is going to run for president. He didn't say whether or not he was going to run. He shouldn't say whether or not he's going to run. And that's the right move on his part.
I think that's admirable because what they're supposed to say is, no, I'm going to do what's best for Arizona or whatever, always. There's a script that they're supposed to say. He didn't do that, which seems honest. If he's actually thinking about running, and he's not saying, no, I'm going to commit to it and then turn around and not do that, that's an honest thing to do. I got to commend him for that.
Let's imagine he wins Florida by 10 points. Do you think it's better for Florida that he's the president of the United States instead of Joe Biden?
Oh, my gosh.
Of course. And if you win Florida by 10 points and you decide to run midway through that term for the president of the United States, do you think your 10-point majority of voters in Florida are going to go, I can't believe he's doing this. I'm never voting for this man again. No, that's dumb. But it's on par for The View.
You know what is that view? The quote that we keep kind of focusing on in that clip is the part where he says, "Hey, acted like he had a stroke." She also compares his charisma to that of a cup, which is ridiculous.
Well, what was Fetterman's charisma like last night? Go ahead, Joy. Let us know. You're bringing it up.
Well, in that clip you played earlier, too, she went in on Oz for being a slick talker and having too much charisma. And you're not supposed to vote for somebody with charisma.
Right. That's a good point. That's very funny.
Good point. I wish I would have made it.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. We were all regretting not picking that one
This is
up.
why I don't like talking about The View, because there's so many different angles to be like, what the hell are you talking about? And you are watching and taking this in, and you're like, I can't believe these people, they make me crazy. And so you just don't turn them on because they're making you feel crazy. You just say, no, I'm better than this. I don't need this. Not going to do it to myself. And then you play a clip and you're like, but they're so dumb.
Yes. Okay. Speaking of trying to not live in a bubble, we're watching this stuff because we're going, okay, this stuff exists out there. People are listening to this. Is that, when you hear this, do you go, is this the mind of a leftist voter? Is The View?
Yes.
Or is The View just a crazy version of that?
What do you mean when you say a leftist voter?
I don't know.
I don't think you should say the mind of. I think you should say the heart of.
The heart of, the voice of, the leftist voter.
It is the view.
The view of.
One single viewpoint that is regurgitated on a regular basis. Their argument, I mean, they specifically are making a group argument as to why Ron DeSantis would be a terrible nominee for the Republican Party and why this Republican Party won't choose Ron DeSantis. And the reason why the Republican Party won't choose Ron DeSantis is because Donald Trump is annoying and hateful and has a lot of negative energy.
Yes.
So the Republican Party will pick Trump. Gosh, I mean,
yes.
This is the other reason why I can't talk about this.
Brad
There's
and I have to
words
do
that I want to say that I am not by FCC regulations allowed to say right now.
Brad and I have to basically do rock, paper, scissors to see which one of us will cut the View clips because neither one of us want to do it. We can't listen to it.
I usually poll rank.
That's why you're not that guy, but you are at that point. I don't like to play clips from The View specifically for that because if I'm sitting in my car and I'm listening to Joy Behar drivel on or Sonny Hostin or Whoopi Goldberg, and I'm like, I don't need this in my life. I don't have to do this. Boop. I'm listening to top 40 hits on Y98, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to do it, which is why we don't play a lot of boop. It's more like slam my hand into the buttons on my dash. But, you know, I don't want to listen to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I don't want to listen to Nancy Pelosi. I don't want to listen to Chuck Schumer. I don't really want to listen to Mitch McConnell. I don't want to listen to the people whose job it is to become outraged and shocked by how the Republican Party would dare to do Republican things.
Yes.
And vice versa. The Democrats, and then you fill in Democrat things. Well, duh, of course that's what they're doing. They are Democrats. I fundamentally disagree with them. It's not shocking that they do Democrat things. That's what Democrats do. That's why you vote them out.
Yeah. Can you believe that in 2018, the guy who's running for governor of North Carolina came out and said something that he agreed with the Bible?
Yeah. I mean, your shock is not my shock. And it's not easy for me to be shocked by much anymore in politics because the sensationalism behind all of it, I feel like this is becoming a repetitive statement that I'm making on the show. But I'm not really a super emotional person. Like I should say this, I do not make my emotions available to other people. I have strong feelings. I have strong emotions, but they're not for other people to control or to manipulate or to distract. I try to be 100% in control of them all the time. And I am until I'm coaching sports in like youth group. And then I'm trying to like contain them even more or watch my kids play.
It is fun to watch Annie watch her kids play sports.
It's not healthy.
That's a sport in of itself.
No, it's perfectly healthy. It's fine.
Doesn't sound like it's fine.
Moms everywhere should be that invested in their kids' sports.
If only we had some to ask.
Yep.
If only we had some.
You said a word there, though, that I really want to say something about. Sensationalism.
Uh-huh.
When I'm getting ads right now in the mail, they are so sensational. They always are. That's not different. What's crazy about this election cycle, though, is that the ads are sensational about just regular policy. They're not, back a long time ago, this guy was in a lawsuit. You can't believe what it was.
In
That's
black
what it
and
usually
white,
is.
Regan Deering is pro-life.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
And you're like, I'm going to vote for her.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Yes. Yeah. They want to unleash American energy? You're like, what the heck? Why are you saying it in that voice?
Yeah.
Why does it have the big no smoking sign over that stuff? That stuff I like.
Who are we just talking to that was saying that? Who did we have on the show yesterday?
That would
Seems
have
like
been
10 years ago. What day was yesterday?
What day is it?
What day is today?
I
We don't know.
no, it's Wednesday according to the sheet. And if the sheet says Wednesday,
It's Wednesday.
It was
Sometimes.
Carafano.
Carafano. Oh yeah, I was talking to him about policy and like, can you imagine being Jim Carafano? Like, how much of what he knows in his brain will we never even be in a position to consider?
Dude's plugged in.
Yes, he knows things globally that we will never, ever be exposed to, probably for really good reason. Imagine knowing all of those things and getting a flyer in the mail, and it's like the candidate is
Yeah. Governor Doug Ducey is
thinks
building
criminals should go
his
to jail.
own wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know. Good job. But you wouldn't vote for that, would you? He's building his own wall with containers.
It should be like those flyers should expose things like John Smith killed 4 people last weekend. Did you know this? Don't vote for this bad guy. But it's like, no, he has a policy position that most people who vote Republican do.
Yes.
And it, in fact, wasn't murder. But if it was murder, we'd make sure he never went to jail. Okay, all right. Not voting for you either. My goodness gracious. This is simple.
He wants to stop fentanyl. What's next? Putting kittens in a bag and throwing them over a bridge? Like, it's crazy stuff that they're comparing very average policy positions to.
Brad, do you read your political mail?
No.
Ryan, you do.
Heck yes, I do.
Hannah?
My mom saved me an Eric Schmitt one. She's like, oh, read this.
Get it signed.
My goodness. Let's take a quick break. If you missed Eric Schmitt, he joined us at the very top of the show at about 12:05. You can get on that Odyssey app. You can follow 97.1 FM Talk right there. St. Louis's home for conservative talk. It's on the Odyssey app, and you can rewind up to 24 hours from where you log on. That's a pretty cool feature there. Eric Schmitt joined us at 12:05. You can hear that. Mike Bost, Congressman Mike Bost at 12:25. Deroy Murdock at 1:05. And Matt Pauley with the latest St. Louis Cardinals news at 1:45. Don't miss any of the show. We miss you when you're not here, but you can always figure out ways convenient to you to pick up where you left off. More Ernie Frey Show after this. Don't go away.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 is your place for full Decision 2022 coverage.
Decision 2022.
Sponsored by Air Comfort Service and TR Hughes Homes on 97.1 FM Talk.
The amazing Fall for All event is going on at Genesis of St. Charles right now. You'll enjoy just going and being a part of that. I don't know if you've ever walked into a store and the owner is just, or the person behind the counter is just sitting there looking at you like, what you going to buy? That's an uncomfortable position to be in. That will not be the case at Genesis of St. Charles. Every time I visited, there's just a lot of activity, especially with the amazing Fall for All event. You will walk in and there's plenty going on and there's somebody there to serve you, but there's no pressure. It's wonderful there. Genesis of St. Charles is located in the St. Charles Hyundai showroom. So find that, walk in, and then you will be impressed by their inventory. You will also find that their salesmen, again, not pressure, no pressure tactics going on there, but they're only going to charge you MSRP, so they don't really have to have pressure. They know what the price of the car is, and they know that that's going to beat everybody else in the market right now. So head on out there. Here's where they are, St. Charles Hyundai Showroom. They're part of the St. Charles Automotive Campus, just a quarter mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Plus, with a Genesis, you will enjoy perks like 3-year complimentary maintenance. So visit them online at genesisofstcharles.com.
From abortion to inflation, the issues in our local elections have far-reaching implications. We're breaking these issues down on The Home Stretch, Odyssey's new original podcast. I'm Doug Sovereign. Each week I'll talk to a range of experts to give you a no-fuss 15-minute download of the most pressing issues on this year's ballots. Listen to The Home Stretch on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Mark Reardon, and 97.1 FM Talk with the other St. Louis Odyssey stations will once again partner with you to raise funds for the SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. It's all part of the annual Tree of Hope campaign. Thanks to you, we've raised more than $170,000 over the past 2 years. Cardinal Glennon has touched many lives over the years. If you have a story to share, we'd love to hear it. Sign up at 971talk.com/Cardinal Glennon or text the word HOPE to 20357. That's 20357.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough is now available and it isn't a pill? Well, today, Wednesday, October 26th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Pineview Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow, treating the root cause problem of ED. It's backed by 60 studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain that spark in the bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce rapid results in the bedroom. You're going to love that, guys, trust me. And today only, we're offering 5 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is unprecedented, worth hundreds of dollars, but call today and qualify free. 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. 314-530-7777.
Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden are ignoring kitchen table issues. Liberals are fighting to defund the police, indoctrinate kids, open the border, and put boys in girls' sports. I'm Ann Wagner. The people I talk to know better. Let's work for what matters most. Lower costs, parents' rights, and safer streets.
Ann Wagner is working for common sense solutions to the problems you face. She's challenged the big government machine in Washington and delivered a tax cut for middle-class families. Ann has stood with parents to defend their right to make decisions on the upbringing, education, and care of their children, protecting our kids from radical leftist indoctrination. And as crime rises, Ann has worked to protect our safety by fighting efforts to defund our brave police.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message. So pull up a chair, and together we'll turn the tables on Washington.
Fighting for your family. Ann Wagner for Congress. Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight, wanna let loose. I was dreaming of bigger things and wanna leave my old life behind. Not a yes, sir.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
I was lightning before the thunder. Thunder, 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 feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder, thunder.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy to be with you. Beautiful day outside. We do have a special guest in studio with us right now, but she won't speak on the air. She said she doesn't want to talk on the air.
That's a shame.
Really? She doesn't?
Probably provide
Hannah,
some valuable
I was
insight.
going to say, Hannah usually doesn't have any problem talking on air.
My daughter, people here know that she broke her foot. That was a month ago, folks. If you remember when I talked about I had to stay home for a couple days and help this lug around the house because she was on crutches, was spent a week out of school off of her foot. And so we had the follow-up appointment this morning at the orthopedic, and it was in Melville. Great experience at the orthopedics office. We've really enjoyed being there. And we went all the way out there. The appointment was at 9:30. 9:30 in Melville. She goes to school in Illinois, working downtown. I was like, you never know how long you're going to sit in a doctor's office. Isn't that like one of the great mysteries?
The great mystery is, why did you make an appointment? Because you're going to wait there regardless.
In any doctor's appointment.
Yep.
And your wife has had babies. You've done the OB appointments. That is really something, because if your doctor gets called to deliver a baby,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yep. We've had that happen.
I demand. Like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Because
I'm going to meet him over there.
You're going to be one of, I'll just sit to the side. I won't be a bother. You will be that person one day. And sorry, folks, sitting in the exam room, he'll be there when he'll be there.
That's why they do C-sections, because they can schedule them.
That's not why they do
Not
C-sections.
all of them.
Well,
That's a
I
pretty
don't know.
broad and judgmental.
I'm sticking with it.
Ryan's the living embodiment of fake news.
I know.
No way.
Take the lazy way out. Get
Hey.
a C-section.
Hey, go ask an OB next time. Why do you do C-sections?
Go
Well,
ask somebody who's had to
secretly.
recover from a C-section if it's the easy way out.
Yeah, no
kidding.
kidding.
They both definitely have their challenges. But it is interesting how you can go into it. You can't. I mean, in a doctor's office, you can get away with that. There's really no questions asked. You can't speak to the manager. The manager's the doctor, and he ain't there.
Mm-hmm.
We were there. Our appointment was at 9:30. I think we were back in the car at 9:45. It was
Oh, that's
awesome.
amazing.
Nice.
Yes, it was fantastic. So then the question was, do I drive all the way from Melville to back to Illinois, back to downtown? And it would have been tight. It would have probably been doable. And I asked her, and I said, you want to go back to school or you want to go to work? She's like, I'll go to work with you. So here she is. She's sitting in here, but she's keeping quiet. You sure you don't want to talk? She nodded her head yes.
That's okay. I mean, you can do whatever you want. This is Bring Your Jensen to Work Day, and that means that you can do whatever you want.
Would your kids, if you brought them in here, would they be all over the microphones?
No, because they would know it was Bring Your Jensen to Work Day, and they would not say a thing because they would know it was not their day.
They would respect that.
Yeah. No, the answer is no. They would be very shy.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, the two who are the most outgoing and love attention when the spotlight comes on.
What about the
they
one
freeze.
Parker almost did?
That's the one that probably wouldn't care.
Oh.
And he doesn't care about getting attention. But he doesn't care.
Something.
Vicky asks on our YouTube live chat, are there going to be any basement watch whiskey slushy parties this year on the 8th, Election Day? What have we talked about so far for election night?
Hannah White.
Hannah White.
Vanna Hannah, I think.
Vanna Hannah.
Is that the name we went with?
Vanna Hannah. I want to try a whiskey slush.
You can now.
Yes, I can.
When we had the State of the Union in my basement last year, I had to call and make sure with our boss it was okay if I had an underage person in the basement while we had a cocktail. He was like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm like,
can I get that in writing?
Thanks, Dad. Hannah goes, you called Steve? And I'm like, well, yeah, I didn't want to get in trouble for having booze around a minor in my house.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? If you can serve it at a restaurant, you can have it around her.
Yeah. I asked that question and everyone's like, why were you asking permission? I was like, I don't know. I'm a rule follower.
Yeah.
You know what the rules are, follow them.
So you weren't serving moonshine, which would be illegal at a restaurant. Therefore,
There's a
illegal
blackberry
around.
moonshine that I am looking to purchase.
Oh yeah?
If you're listening right now, there's a whiskey. It's a blackberry moonshine. I need to know more about it. So if you can recommend to me that blackberry moonshine, I need to know more. That might make an appearance in the slushy soon.
Some
Coming
of the
to
other
a basement near me.
Yeah, the other details that we've talked about, and I don't know what this will look like. We're putting it together right now. But we're going to have stations where each of us will go to.
Ryan's going to have an election center.
In
an
my
election
basement.
center in the
Oh.
basement with maps, and some of them might be children's maps of the United States.
But information. Real, legit
Oh,
information.
real info. But the setting is going to look a little ridiculous, we think.
The
But we're
election
putting it together.
center.
Yeah. And
Can't
so Hannah Vanna will be at one or two different stations. I'll be at one or two. We'll have multiple cameras going all. We'll be all over the basement.
97.1 is going to be doing live coverage that whole night. So if you're by your radio, you can tune into 97.1. I'll be doing hits, calling in whenever Mark Reardon summons me, which is basically how this is going to work. Brandon on YouTube says, those whiskey slushy election parties were the best to watch. We definitely need another one of those this year. So I am looking forward to that. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Brad, we are working on game planning guests to be on the show. And we'll have them be on the live stream.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some guests in that'll be on the live stream that can weigh in on what they think is going to happen, give us some predictions and all that other fun stuff.
Brian says, how about the AFS have to do a shot every time a certain word is said? Things could get crazy. No. I will be in the basement with my 4 children in the house, and I hate that feeling.
And I have to make it back to Missouri, so no.
I would allow you to stay at my house if you needed to. For the record.
She would probably insist that you stay at her house.
I would
if
hope
needed.
so.
Yes. I've insisted before for other people. I would insist for you. Libby says, I do have the blackberry moonshine.
Ooh.
What's the
Where'd you get
brand?
it?
Ugh, I want to know.
The word we should use would have to be red wave, right? Because if they say red wave a lot,
What if it
Well,
was,
we're not
what if
trying
we-
to get alcohol
no.
poisoning.
Well, yeah, I know. People
sure?
are always like, take a shot every time a Democrat makes an excuse. Like, no, that's just like a 5-minute death wish.
Is it like take a shot every time somebody says race?
Yeah. How about no? What if it was like every time they say tsunami? Like if it gets to
That's
out
what I
of
mean.
red wave.
Yeah.
Not red wave.
but soon, yeah.
Folks, we might be facing it. Yeah.
Because then we'd be feeling pretty good and be more apt to want to drink.
I have never really been one who's like, I need a game to help push me along drinking. Like, there's a certain amount that I will drink. There's a certain amount that I won't drink. It is based on me and my decisions and what I feel is comfortable and respectful for the time. Ryan, on the other hand, you get those White Claws by the six pack.
The mom waters.
I'm passed out on the stairs.
In the election center, which would be portable.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We're gonna need to bring the election center over here, a little bit to the left. Yep, right on top of Ryan Wiggins.
Just set it on.
He's
Somebody
fine.
at least cover up his belly. This is embarrassing. We're going to be doing this concurrent coverage though, because we will. The radio station is going to be doing it all night with Mark Reardon, and then we're going to be doing it on video. So the whole idea of even listening forwards, we're actually going to be talking. We're not just going to be playing some other news source. We're going to be talking a lot. So we would have to be the ones saying it to be drinking off of it, you know?
What?
Well,
no, we're going to be watching news.
Well, we'll be watching news, but we won't be playing the news on our cameras. We'll be talking on the cameras.
We'll be on in the basement. Yes.
Yes. So if I'm in the election center saying tsunami over and over, that wouldn't count.
No, it wouldn't.
Right. Okay.
Glad
We're
you
not doing-
clarified that for yourself.
We are not doing drinking games.
Okay.
We are a little bit beyond drinking games. Hannah, on the other hand, I don't know what she's going to be doing.
She'll be covering up my
Vanna
belly.
Hannah. We
Vanna
don't know.
Hannah. Yeah, we're going to go to the wall and the results with Hannah Vanna, and we are going to have lots of fun. So we want you to join us. We want you to participate with us. And if you want to make sure that you're notified about what we're doing, what was that random noise
I just saw
that
the
people...
number of...
Whoa, I've never seen that reaction.
Yeah,
Brad.
we're really close to getting 4,000 subscribers, and that means that I'm going to have to do a dance on not on a TikTok, but on an Instagram reel.
I mean, maybe TikTok. We'll have to find out from Ryan after he goes to a soccer game and talks to that one guy again.
Who found us on TikTok?
Yeah, Ryan comes back on the air, I think it was, and reports that, yeah, some guy who I've known for a really long time said you finally made it. You're on TikTok, and we're like, wait, where on TikTok?
Oh, he was just another dad at a soccer
idea.
game. We didn't know. Yeah, he said, I saw you on TikTok, and I didn't know what he was referring to because I didn't know we were on
I'll
TikTok.
have to look back on the live stream and just to see our facial reactions because we all had no idea we were on TikTok.
Yeah, no, that turned into a YouTube short.
What's crazy is that when I said that, I didn't even know there was a difference between Instagram and TikTok. That's how much I don't know about that stuff. So you guys were like, oh my gosh,
that's just
we're
a
on
Ryan
TikTok.
Wiggins
I thought we
thing.
were just on Instagram. Oh, and then I was shocked we were even on Instagram. I didn't know that either.
You know, we only talk about how I run the Instagram like every other show.
But theoretically, I understand that
Okay.
there is an existence of it.
Okay,
I
you just
don't
didn't
have
know it was
any
a
idea
separate
what
thing.
it looks like.
Okay.
I'm not on it.
You don't follow us?
Brandon mentioned Jello shots, and I wouldn't put it past us to have Jello shots, but they'll probably be non-alcoholic.
It's just Jello in a cup.
Ryan's Jello bowl.
Oh, it's a cherry. Yep, send it over. Let's make it happen. You want to give us an update here on how close you are to your
we're
deal?
sitting at 3,995 subscribers on the
Oh.
and if we get to 4,000 by, what did we say, Friday?
It depends. I think I've said multiple things.
Yeah. So we're just going to settle on Friday. So
I was convinced that it was by the end of the month,
you
and
went
then
down
you
one.
you said people. I think people do this every time. I was convinced it was by the end of the month, and you're like, no, I think it was supposed to be for last Friday. And then I looked at the video, and the tape I saw did say last Friday.
Mhm.
So if you guys are willing to extend that to the
I'm a
end of the
good
month,
sport.
I'll be.
You're just a neat guy.
I am a neat guy.
We'll have a choreographed dance with Brad and Ryan, choreographed by one Hannah, one boop.
One boop.
Yeah.
Maybe the dance.
No,
It's
Nope, not that.
Can you make
guys,
us
you guys need to create a viral dance called the boop.
the boo, the
And
boo?
see if we can get people to do it.
it.
You're probably swearing.
I probably am.
Let's take a quick break. And did you see the YouTube short animated of you doing the dances?
No.
Okay.
Wait.
I showed you that this
Was
morning.
that the one? I didn't know if
Yes.
that was the one.
I'm doing it on the Annie Frey
Okay.
YouTube channel. While you go visit us on the Annie Frey YouTube channel to subscribe, please go. We need 6 more, 5/6. It keeps changing. How many more to get to 4,000? We'll get the results to the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll, which you can vote in while you're there subscribing. Which non-local states election results are you anticipating the most? Non-Missouri, non-Illinois. Is it Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, or something else? You can leave a comment and vote other. Need 3 more, folks. Is it going to be you? Will you be 4,000? We'll be right back.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. The Mark Mark Reardon Show.
Jay Schrader is with us, the president of the St. Louis City Police Officers Association.
Everybody showed up. They did what they were supposed to do. They ran into harm's way and saved countless lives.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
So Thomas Helbing and the Retirement Advisor Group will help you with your retirement and make sure that you have effectively reached that goal that you have set out for yourself. When do you want to retire? How much do you need to have in order to retire? Do you know how much you need to have in order to retire when you want to retire? Bob Kershaw, Thomas Helbing, and the Retirement Advisor Group can walk you through this process to give you the confidence you need to retire in a worry-free fashion. All you got to do is give them a call and say, I'd like to set up an appointment. I heard about this on the Annie Frey Show. She said it was going to be free to set up an appointment. They'll get you started right away. There's no obligation once you do either. You can just sit down and listen to what they have to say and see if they have what you feel is you can feel confident about moving forward and securing that worry-free retirement. 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. And you can find them online at retirementkey.com. Their services are offered there. You can make an appointment as well online. All the details you need to secure yourself and feel comfortable, confident, and worry-free at retirementkey.com.
With inflation on the rise, you may be charging more to your credit card. But be careful. That increased debt can cause your credit score to suffer.
Don't get stuck with a low credit score and a mountain of high-interest credit card debt. Call Golden Oak Lending now.
Refinance with our low rates to wipe out your high-interest credit card debt and put extra cash in your pocket. Call 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing, cured my blues.
NMLS 114937.
Join Mosby Building Arts every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 FM. Rich Orse and guests give insider tips about renovations, design, construction, exteriors, and more. Tune in to Right at Home with Rich on Saturdays or catch the podcast online.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studios. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 53 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
You've been wearing that crown and tearing me down. It's been a while since you treated me right. You strung me along for far too long, 'cause I never gave up the fight. Until now, it's gonna hit you hard till you see stars. It's gonna put you through a world of hurt. Oh, I don't believe in getting even, but getting what you deserve. Oh, my, oh, my.
All right, we did it. 4,000 subscribers on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Now is when, we got 4,013. Now is when 15 of you go unsubscribe, and then we have to do this with excitement once again. But thank you to everybody who has gone to subscribe to the Annie Frey YouTube channel. We are so grateful for it. We try to build a community here that you can participate in each and every day and be a part of the conversation. We certainly watch your comments as they come in, your reactions, your feedback, your opinions that agree with us and also that dissent with us. And so if you have been a part of that community on the YouTube channel, we are really grateful for you. We truly do appreciate you. If you're brand new or if you're considering joining us for the first time over there, thank you for giving us the opportunity to earn your keep here and make sure that you stay. We love having you. Tuesday at 1:25, we're going to speak with the former Trump administration official Tom Homan on this week's staggering immigration report. Make sure you're with us tomorrow at 1:25. It'll be interesting to see what Tom Homan has to say about the report that they kind of slid in there in the last-minute Friday night news drop and how bad it actually is at the southern border and how bad it could get from here. So you want to make sure you're listening for that. You want to get to the YouTube live chat, but let's go around the room here, and we can give our own answers. Hannah, what's the poll today?
The poll today is asking which non-local states' election results are you anticipating the most? Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, or another?
If I'm starting, I'm saying definitely not Georgia, simply because Kemp is going to walk away easily the winner over Stacey Abrams. And then we're probably going to see a Georgia runoff, so we won't even know the winner of that one on election night. So not that one. then it's really tough between Arizona and Pennsylvania. I'm going to say Pennsylvania simply because they're in the Eastern time zone, and I'm looking forward to seeing what those results say early in the night.
Ooh.
So that we know the way the rest of the night's going to go. And they could say a lot because you got Mastriano and Oz, two very different types of Republicans, and what happens with them is probably going to be indicative of what happens the rest of the night.
So you're saying Pennsylvania?
Yep.
I already said this a couple segments ago, but I'm looking at New York. I really want to see what's going to happen there at the New York governor's race, because before I thought there's no chance, it's just going to be Hochul again. But man, Zeldin has been closing in. I think that debate last night was devastating for Hochul, especially when she said, "I stand by what I did with lockdowns and COVID mandates, and I'll do it again." Yeah, that's a sure way of not getting, because that's big chunk of what the backlash has been against most Democrats is that, and especially in a state like New York, because outside of that,
you've been an election denier, a climate change denier. You and Donald Trump were the masterful COVID deniers. We are dealing with a real crisis, and the more people get vaccinated, get those shots in arms, and I would do it all over again what I did last year, that mandate for healthcare workers.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that. She's gonna lose. I really want to see how close this is going to be, and I kind of think that maybe Zeldin actually has a legitimately real good shot at that. And so I want to see, A, either how close he comes, and B, if he wins, how much, because that's really interesting to me. And it was Pennsylvania. I said this earlier. It was Pennsylvania, but it's not Pennsylvania anymore because that disaster was like a torpedo to Fetterman's campaign. It's over.
I would say Pennsylvania for the same reasons that Ryan said it, but unfortunately Pennsylvania can count votes 4 days after. I don't think we're going to have those votes. We're not going to have those.
That's actually a good point.
They're not going to have those results on election night. Prepare yourself for that right now. It's going to feel weird and uncomfortable, but the likelihood of them having, it's very possible one of them could have a very decisive victory, and it could say, it's probably not within the margin to hold off on it. But if they don't call any of these Pennsylvania races on election night, that would not surprise me at all. Georgia's Eastern time zone, isn't it?
Yeah, but I just think we're going to look at a Raphael Warnock, Herschel Walker runoff election, because I don't think either one of them is going to get to 50. I don't know.
I don't know that that's the case, but I also think that Kemp is going to stomp Stacey Abrams, and I think that the Kemp election in Georgia, I think that all the sensationalism that surrounds the Georgia elections from the 2020 hangover of, what happened with those runoff elections and how they were so pivotal to these 2 years that we've been like, they had to win both of those seats to be able to get so much of this through, and they did. It was catastrophic to the gridlock that you could only hope for if you were somebody who was Republican. And when Joe Biden won the election and you were thinking, what do we do? Worst case scenario is Joe Biden wins and gets these 2 Georgia seats. And they went that way. And all of the drama and the nonsense that was focused from all parties, like the kind of misdirection that even came from President Trump at some points about whether you should vote or shouldn't vote. And then he did come back and say, no, you absolutely need to vote. But it was just so heavy and so gross. And then for Georgians to have experienced that, and then to go through the following year with the election law changes and with the Major League Baseball pulling out the All-Star game, because they literally said that due to the racism that is existing in these laws in Georgia, they couldn't leave the All-Star game in Atlanta. There is no path from point A to point B where that makes any freaking sense. Not only that, the World Series was won by the Atlanta Braves. That's sweet, sweet revenge. And then on top of that, they have record election turnout. So much of all of the most dramatic elements of where we've been for 2 years exist in Georgia. And I am specifically looking at the Stacey Abrams-Brian Kemp race, because Stacey Abrams has been an election denier before Donald Trump ever even breathed a word about it. She has never conceded her race. She has said over and over and over again that she did not lose the election 4 years ago for governor. She paved the way for that. She paved the way for this discussion to be had over and over and over again as an excuse. And Brian Kemp is not a MAGA candidate. Brian Kemp is not like, if you were looking at the Republican Party and you're trying to look across the country as to how Donald Trump's fingerprints are going to be all over these different races, if Brian Kemp wins the governor race against Stacey Abrams decisively, to me, that says a lot about where we have stabilized over the neuroticism of the people who have really, really trumped up these issues, and then they use them to throw them in the face of Republicans like it's okay for them to talk about it. But if Republicans breathe a word about it, then they shut you down. They close you out. It all happened in Georgia. I think the Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker race is not going to be as close as people think it is. So I think I would vote Georgia. I'm not like, I don't particularly have a passion or care for these specific people in these races. Like, I'm not, I really would like to see Carrie Lake win, because I can't wait to see what she does when she actually is given the power that comes with her governorship. Like, what can a good governor do? I've seen Ron DeSantis and what he's doing. I'd like to see what Carrie Lake can do in such a controversial state like Arizona. But I think Georgia is interesting just because of all the history that goes along with it. All right, Hannah, let's get to some results today.
All right, the results for the poll, which is asking which non-local state election results are you anticipating the most? Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, or other? 31% of the people said they are anticipating the Pennsylvania race the most. 28% said Arizona. 27% said Georgia.
Wow.
And 14% said other. I'll get to some comments really quick. Travis Boyer from YouTube said New York. Lee Zeldin could beat Kathy Hochul.
That's Brad's thought.
That's Brad's
my
thoughts.
pick.
Yes. Lori Felt said Arizona, since that was the state that had the most recounting for the 2020 election. Benjamin from YouTube said, had to vote other. As an ex-Ohioan and practicing Catholic, I'm super excited and anxious about J.D. Vance's Senate campaign. He's the best we've put out in a while. Mike G from YouTube said, I chose Arizona. They are ground zero in the election integrity fight. They will be in the news leading up to 2024. A governor and secretary of state is the key. KK from YouTube said, Arizona, waiting to see Carrie Lake kick some rear.
Take it.
Jen says, I'm concerned about election fraud in Georgia. I think Stacey Abrams will stop at nothing to win. I just hope that that the things put in place will stop any attempts.
Mm-hmm. Cheating attempts, you could say it.
I'm scared.
Get a strike.
That's what I'm scared for, really.
That would be awful if we got one right during election.
I know. That's why I had to
that'd be
whisper. Andrew Weber says he's interested in Oklahoma. Chalupa Batman said, I voted other, watching Arizona closely. Well, Arizona was an option. Chalupa.
Hillary Clinton has said that her words are that the Republicans have already planned to steal the election. That's what this is an issue on both sides of the aisle, and people will be paying attention, and voting laws have changed and will probably continue to change after this in various places, and we'll cover it.
It's amazing to see Stacey Abrams continue to say that there's voter suppression happening right now in Georgia with record turnout. It's remarkable.
Here's Kieran Jean-Pierre.
And speaking generally, of course, more broadly, high turnout and voter suppression can take place at the same time. They don't have to be, one doesn't have to happen on its own. They could be happening at the same time. But I'll leave it there without being able to really dig into the politics of this.
I can't imagine why she can't dig in.
I'll just leave it there.
I gotta go.
Whoa,
That's what Corinne Jean-Pierre
look at the
saying.
time.
Gosh, man, I've got a place to be in the thing with the stuff, and I will probably not elaborate further at a later time. My goodness. Thank you for voting on the poll for us each and every day. We appreciate that. Thank you to the 4,018 people who have joined us on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. We're grateful for all of you and happy to be able to cover the issues here on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk, on the radio every day, online every day, on the Odyssey app every day. Let's hand it over to the Mark Reardon Show.
Married the sweet